Good afternoon, good evening, good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our first episode or session of Vampire the Masquerade, where we are going to cover off the 5th edition starter set as an intro to the game. I personally have never played 5th edition, so this is going to be a learning experience for me, as well as I think all of the players. I don't know if any of them are actually versed in playing 5th edition itself. We have people who have read through it and have done podcasts regarding it, but I think that is the extent of it. So for those of you who are new to the channel, thank you for joining in. This is Foxfyre Studios. It is my tabletop roleplay game streaming channel where up until, well, even this game, I tend to focus on new games from a learning aspect. Essentially, it comes down to there are so many games out there. I want to play them all, and this is basically the only way that I'm going to be able to do that. And the nice thing is, for every game that's out there, there's people that want to play it as well. So finding players is usually never a hassle. That being said, if anybody wants to look at having an opportunity of playing on the stream and learning some of the new games that we will be covering off in the future, join the Discord, which may be coming up in chat right about now. No, it is not, because my stream bot is not running. So let's get that going. You know what? In the meantime, let's start by introducing our players, who they are, who they're playing, and anything that they want to shine, hopefully not sunlight on, for what they do. So let's start going clockwise, and we will start with Feather.
Hi everyone, I'm Feather. This is my second time as a guest with Foxfyre Studios. I have been tabletop gaming for about 10 years, and I have extensive knowledge of V20 and very little on V5. I am playing Jay, a young woman who was once known for her online gaming and her skills with that, and who has slowly been starting to make the transition on my phone.
Awesome. Yeah, so for those of you who were here with us last week playing Mithras, you will recognize Feather from there, which we might be doing a second session of that in the future sometime. It should be fun. Then moving on to Ryan.
Hiya, I'm Ryan, or Acidic Plague, or however you want to call me. I will be playing Sam, who prefers to go by Samuel. He is a man in his 30s, and is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. He was too poor for university, but still has a very bright mind, very curious, very intelligent, and the military was an ends to a means for him to get his education. And while serving in Iraq, he found himself really appreciating the culture and finding all the information he found, like the libraries, museums, and ruins. And he sort of fell in love with that and volunteered for tour after tour to stay in country until he was finally discharged. And he came back from the Middle East. He felt very hollow and empty. His thirst for knowledge unquenched.
Might not be the only thing that he thirsts for that'll be unquenched by the end of the night.
Who knows?
Who knows? What are we playing again? And then let's move on to, what is your favorite term that has been used last year or two? Mr. Lore? Mr. Lore by night?
Hello, good evening. Yes, it's lovely introduced. I am the Lore by Night podcast guy who for the last 7 months has been discussing all things vampiric with no fear of breaching the masquerade. I'm rather new to Vampire the Masquerade. It's not even a full year actually since I've been playing this game. Like Feather, I have a little bit more experience with V20 and not so much V5, although I had a wonderful time playing an improv V5 game recently with some friends from across the pond. And I shall be playing Grain of Clan Gangrel, who's set a bit rough, to say the least, as I'm moving from foster family, getting himself into a bit of trouble. And he's sort of rediscovering himself now and realising he doesn't need society and those around him. I'm sure we'll discover more when we play.
Let us hope. And then I am Foxfyre, also known as Charlotte. I am all over the internets doing all kinds of weird-ass tabletop role-playing game things. I host a lot of Discord servers. I am admins on a bunch. One of them is the Lore by Night Discord server, which helped. If you could be so kind as to drop that invite link again into the chat. If any of you want to check out the Lore by Night podcast, join that Discord server. Check out his work on any of the podcast services that are available. YouTube, Spotify, and a whole bunch of others. I just use Spotify, so I can't remember all that they're out. He does a fantastic job covering through the lore, going through a lot of the past editions as well into the new V5 stuff. The people on the Discord server are phenomenal. It is such a welcoming environment for anybody who joins. We are a... I'm not sure how else to explain that. Join us, come find out for yourself, and come say hi. I used to play Vampire the Masquerade Revised Edition like almost 20 years ago. A lot of it was freeform roleplay on IRC back in the day because I had no friends in the city that I lived in that played it. Then when I moved, I got to play it in person a little bit more, and still it was Revised Edition. Never got into Requiem because I was on the way out as that was on the way in. But I've never had a chance to be the storyteller for a vampire game, so this is a first for me as well. Bear with me. We are going to be running the starter set, which has a nice breakdown of the rules. I meant to get a link for that starter set to post on here, but I would honestly recommend the starter set to anybody who's looking at getting into it. The character sheets that they have on here, the pre-gen characters, are second to none, and I think more companies that are into tabletop role-playing need to look how this is displayed, because as a first-time starter sheet, this is amazing. It doesn't make any assumptions as to gender or sexuality. It basically gives it to you so that you can play however you want, whoever you want. It has a lot of the skills broken down into what they are, what they do. It gives a lot of detail into the character's background. So if you are trying to get new people into tabletop role-playing games, the biggest thing I hear, especially from my wife, is, I don't want to have to make a character because I don't know any of this stuff. These character sheets are perfect for getting into that. It tells you what you were doing before you got embraced. It tells you like the actual events that led up to it. It tells you why to pick this character if you want to play a certain type of character. Goes through the actions, the equipment that you have, how to roll, your skills, your attributes, the typical information that you would find on a starter sheet. It goes into exactly how you were embraced. It goes into who your sire was, and secrets that you may have had going into the embrace itself, as well as any quick references that you may need. If you are new to Vampire, you might be hearing some terms for the first time tonight. If that is the case, drop a question in the chat, and you know what? If I can't see it, some of the players might, and if they can't, chances are somebody in the chat will be more than willing to help you out with what some of the stuff means. So like we'll be going through terms like hunger and your rouse check, and rouse check, not your rouse, because that sounds like arouse, and we're not into that kind of stuff for this game. Blood surge, blush of life, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that is my gushing over these amazing character sheets. Yeah, and you know, being able to pick what kind of clothing you had, what your ambitions are, what your desires are, makes it easy to customize your character. If you and somebody else at the table want to play the same kind of character concept. So if you both want to play a Gangrel, there's options in there so that you can both play the Gangrel, but you'll have some different ways to describe your character without having the same features throughout all the characters. Alright, so before we get started, I'm going to go to our players and the chat to see if they have any quick questions that they want to get answered, and also I'm using that as a moment to stall while I reread for the 10th time the starter sheet or the starter set adventure.
I'm reading the comments as you've been talking through it, and there are some lovely, lovely people in there. I love all of you.
There are. Yeah, we...
it's so nice.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing. Like, when you... Depending on who you talk to, you might mention that you play Vampire. And some... Like, it's either 3 options that you'll get from people. You have one that's like, what's Vampire? You'll have the other one that's like, isn't that a bit weird? Like, violent and rapey and all that? No. No, that's the people who you play with. There's a difference between the game and your table. And then there's the people that, oh my god, that is fucking awesome, I want to play. And that's usually what...
comments now. They want a calendar, a law-by-night calendar. In the chat in there.
Oh, not just a calendar, but a pin-up calendar.
I think that was the implication.
Yeah, we'll have to get a crowdfunding going for that one in the server later on.
Hey, am I coming across quiet to anyone else?
Not me.
Loud and crystal clear.
Okay.
I can turn up the levels a little bit to see if that helps. Alright. Yeah, so since this is kind of a learning scenario, if you have any questions, stop me, ask the question, and we'll walk through it. And that goes for the chat as well. Sorry, that was unpleasant. Okay, so if we're saying, what could possibly go wrong? Well, that's the start of it.
That's nothing.
Alright. So, without further ado, there is no fear as your life is fading away. You feel an unexpected comfort in the arms of the being that is taking your life. You experience a surprising calm as it all disappears. Drop by drop, it takes your fears, your worries, your dreams, your joys. Then, your conscience vanishes, and all that's left is blackness. You open your eyes. There is a lingering feeling that something is missing, but something else immediately overrides it. It is an electric purr that stirs your senses awake. Coming back from death is slow. You feel sluggish as you become aware of the room you're in, the company you share. Above and around you are slow swinging hunks of meat, like the bodies of that deathly migration. Beside you are others, also escaping death's shore. Urge, more pressing, more acute. As you begin to set up, you feel it for the first time. Hunger, and you know, somehow, as you experience the terrible pangs of this hunger, that you are no longer human. So you have just woken up from your embrace. You feel this craving, this pit in your stomach. And that is the pit of hunger that the beast inside starts to writhe at when you have not fed in a while. And this being your first time waking up as no longer human, that desire is a little bit more pressing. So as you start to open your eyes and look around, what can the other players see? Like, describe your character, what you look like, what you're wearing. Like, what would somebody looking at you right now see? So now at this point, this is where your description would come into play.
So Samuel is wearing old military fatigues, like faded desert camo, with no blouse. So he's just wearing like a tan undershirt, military pants, and boots.
Rain would be wearing torn street clothing. Like I'd imagine he'd be wearing like Lee Cooper shoes, and they've got holes in them, and the heels coming off. He's in a right old messy state, torn jeans. Like if he didn't wash, people probably mistake him as a homeless person.
Jay is wearing just a plain gray V-neck t-shirt and some jeans. Probably just some sandals as well. She's got short, choppy blonde hair that looks like a do-it-yourself hack job. Pretty enough, but plain.
All right. So as you look around, you see 4 gray walls around you and a gray ceiling, all metal, all stainless steel. What you're able to discern from your environment is that you, quite possibly, are in a walk-in freezer. There are hunks of meat hanging from hooks, butchered remains of cows and other various animals. So even as you all sit still in the cold, quiet room and you start making out the shapes around you, you feel your first hunger. It is different from any hunger you have ever felt, like a person starving to death who suddenly smells food. You sense the blood and you know what it will... you know that it will ease this terrible, hollow pain inside you. How will you deal with your first hunger? You smell blood and recognize it exactly that. The aroma reaches out to you, sweet and tempting. Your eyes fall upon the meat hooks that decorate the room, searching for the choice meal you are craving. There are whole animal carcasses hanging from the hooks, pork, cattle, and yet your gaze locks onto a single piece, hanging in the middle of the room. A brunette mop of hair dangles upside down, together with the stark realization of what your body craves. The corpse of a man wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt. You understand that there's more to this room, but right now you can only focus on him. So... just kind of reading through this quickly. Right now, because you've just essentially woken up, we are going to approach our first rolls of the game, and that is to see how your hunger progresses, whether you will be hungrier or whether you'll keep your same hunger level. Right, so for our rolling for this game, we are using the Thirst bot on Discord. That can be found in the Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition Discord server. Unfortunately, I don't have a link to that right now, but somebody in the chat may be able to provide that. And in the show notes afterwards, if you are watching on YouTube, I will try and have that in the notes itself. So... the new dice for Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition are a little bit different than what we're used to in previous editions. Before, we would typically just use a D10, a 10-sided die. We still do, but now the ones that you can get for the game itself are a little bit different. You'll notice on the center of the screen, if you're watching, that there are some different icons that are showing. And for those who are not watching right now, and just listening, some of the icons on there resemble an Ankh. The Camarilla's version, or Camarilla's version of an Ankh. Some of them are red, some of them are black, some of them have what I assume are fangs off to the side hanging down from the arms, and then other ones I think have like little asterisks that come down as well. So what I'm going to do is get everybody to roll a single die, which by the commands I believe is just !V1 1, I think. See if that works. So, yeah, we roll 1 dice. Hunger dice of 1. Let me read this.
With the space after the...
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you roll a blank face, you take an additional hunger die, and you've already started off with 1, I believe. So in this case, Feather will increase her hunger by 1, so she would be sitting at 2, or do we start off with 2, and this is the 3rd?
I believe we start off with 1. I could be
Yeah.
mistaken.
Okay, so yeah, we start off with 2. So each player gets 2 hunger dice right now, and now we are rolling to do a rouse check. So Rain and Sam are still at 2 hunger, and Jay is at 3. Okay, so now that we have that down, for the 2 of you that have 2 hunger, first you were drowsy from waking, but now the blood smell has snapped you into focus. You feel your first hunger significantly. Maybe just a small sip from the dead body would ease this newfound desire. Maybe the animals could give you enough sustenance to carry on. You can resist it if you choose. Maybe it is a shame of defiling the dead. How the others in the room would see you, or the dread of drinking blood that holds you back. Maybe you just surrender to your hunger. Beggars can't be choosers. And now for Jay, your hunger is coloring all of your thoughts, tainting everything you see, hear, and smell. You're beckoned by the fresh body offered to you. Its blood smells stale, but there's also sweetness in it. You want to drink. What will these others think of you? That doesn't matter. What are you becoming? You may have to think about that later. Right now, feeding is what you want to do the most. Right, so your hunger is getting pretty strong. How do you all react to this? And how do you all react to each other?
I don't know if Jay is so much paying attention to the others as she's kind of been trying to talk herself down from this, probably out loud, in a mumbly sort of way, and then she just pounces on it. She doesn't care anymore.
And the other 2?
I'd imagine Rain would be, at first, looking at his surroundings after investigating lunch and the other people, and then he might probably be taken aback when, just trying to remember your character's name ever.
Jay.
Jay, that's it. And probably be a bit startled just when you would lunch at whatever it is that you're lunching at, but wouldn't interfere.
Yeah, Sam resists the urge to feed on any hanging animals. The present situation and danger is too much for him. He immediately puts one of the carcasses between himself and the other 2, and then is just transfixed on Jay when they go straight in for the feed. The look of curiosity on his face.
So Jay goes right for the corpse. And she tries to feed on it. She might get a little bit out of it, but nothing that is worthwhile. Dead blood doesn't sate like the blood of the living. I got too many pages open. This is a pain. I need more monitors. I need like 5 more.
Is this corpse hanging by meat hooks?
Yes. Yeah, we'll
I'd
say...
like to try to take it down and throw it on the floor.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I don't think it would be too difficult for you to be able to pick it up. Let's say that its hands are bound behind his back. He is hanging from his feet, which have also been bound. So the hook the meat hook itself is hanging between the rope, and it's bound tight enough that those ropes weren't going to give way anytime soon. But it would not be too hard as you go towards the body, lift it up a little bit, and try and unhook its legs. You start to feel that there's a new type of strength that is flowing through your body that you may not have felt in days prior. So then you just lift it up and then rest on the ground?
Throw it on the ground, yeah.
Would you be trying to feed from it on the ground or as it was hanging up?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think she would realize that she isn't getting anything out of it just because it's dead. She'd probably just try for a new angle.
Yeah, like, you would be able to get some blood out of it, but it wouldn't be anything that would sate your hunger at all.
Yeah.
Alright, so, for those of you who are not familiar, hunger is a psychological experience as much as a physical one. A hungry vampire doesn't feel their stomach gnawing. Rather, they become irritable, more prone to violence. Kind of sounds like me when I'm hungry, actually. And more intent on sating their hunger. Vampires that hunger 4 or 5 risk losing control and cannot focus on anything other than the hunt. So right now, Jay would be starting to really feel those hangry pains, while not giving in at every chance. It would be very hard to resist a tasty morsel just given generously like this one has been. The first time a newly made vampire tastes human blood, the still human part of them will want to recoil in disgust. But the beast within wants nothing more than to drink the victim dry. And then that itself, drinking a victim dry, is another mechanic which we will cover a little bit later. Feeding itself is an ecstatic experience for both the predator and the prey. Vampires in the know would call this the kiss. One neat little thing about this as well is vampires can instantly heal bite marks they make by licking the wounds. One of the nicknames that vampires have for themselves is a lick, which I kind of see that as a little bit more derogatory term. If somebody calls me that, we're going to fight. It's not cool. Yeah, so... Okay, so Jay is trying to suck whatever she can out of this dead guy on the floor. What are Sam and Rain doing?
Rain's just going to look at this and just shout, "What the fuck are you doing?"
She looks up, kind of messy, blood on her face. She goes, "You telling me you didn't want to do the same?"
I mean, he's got a couple of nice biceps, sure, but... Just... what?
While the two of them are having this exchange, Sam takes the moment to take a more in-depth look at their surroundings. Like, up in the corners, are there any sort of vents or windows? Where's the door? Is there a light? Like, how do things look? He's right now decided they're not a threat to him, but he needs to get out.
Meanwhile, one of them's trying to chomp on someone on the floor.
Nah, I've seen worse.
Yeah, that would probably be true.
Questions.
Alright, so, as you look around the room, your eyes begin to adjust to the darkness and poor lighting. Shapes of animal carcasses decorate your surroundings. The stench in the room is difficult to take for most of you. However, you quickly realize that you can hold your breath with no consequence. For a moment, you take in that breathing. Something you took for granted and was so natural for all of your life is now something you can choose to do, or in this case, choose not to do, and in doing so, avoiding the worst of the stench. The chains clank under the weight of the hanging meat, and you can see the still air clinging to the flesh. The visible fog partially manages to obscure your vision under the cold, hospital-like lighting, causing you to navigate the room carefully to avoid bumping into the adorned meat hooks. As you walk, you realize there are streaks of dried blood on the floor, and small piles of rotten meat, which you can't identify as animal or human. There are also several hospital-like blood bags. They smell of blood, but they are definitely empty. As you reach the walls, you realize they are made of steel, partially covered in patches of frost. However, your skin doesn't stick to the walls if you try and touch them. Your body is no longer warm. There is one door at the other end of the room, and if one of you presses your ear to the door, you think you can hear movement on the other side. So as you are looking around, give me an investigation roll for anyone who's paying attention to the surroundings right now, with a difficulty of 3. So now on your character sheets, I'm going to pull up, whose is this one? This one's Sam. So on page 2, you have an actions subsection, which gives you a rundown of your skills as they would benefit to this scenario. So if we're doing investigation, Sam has 9 dice that he is able to roll. So he'd be rolling 9 dice, and then he would be factoring in his hunger dice as well, which in this case is 2. And then based on a difficulty of 3, Ryan has rolled, and he has 3 successes. So all in all, his investigation is a success. Was Rain going to take a look as well?
Well, it depends if he was still having a shouting match with Jay, trying to work out what was going on.
Why are you doing that? I can't help it. It tastes so good.
It was a corpse. The person was dead on the hook, right?
Yes, yeah.
So I don't suppose there would be much point stopping her, because it's not like he's got anything worth living for.
No.
So I guess he would just reluctantly leave her be and begin to look around as well.
Yeah, that might be wise. It's like trying to get your fingers in between an animal that's hungry and its prey. It might not end well. Okay, so I will get you to roll as well. So Rain is not as good at investigation by the looks of it. So what would investigation be? Intelligence and awareness? Does that sound about right?
I think so. Or wits or awareness.
Yeah, so I guess they've limited some of these skills to what's pertinent for mission. So yeah, so Sam would have had 4 in intelligence, and sorry, I'm being corrected. It's it is wits plus awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam had wits of 2, an awareness of nothing, but in this case it's investigation, so it would be 4 from that for 6 plus additional dice from heightened senses, which is a discipline. So that would mean, what would Rain have in this case?
He would have a pool of 4. And I started with 2 in hunger because I got a success on the
Correct.
hunger roll. Right. Cool. Making sure I'm getting that right.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself how to do this bot.
Yeah.
What's the difficulty for this?
We'll go with 2.
All right.
I think, or did we say 3? We said 3. Sorry.
3.
Yeah.
3. Okay. I forgot the freaking space again. I got a failure.
Yeah, so you are pretty distracted by the this woman on the floor trying to gnaw on this corpse.
Makes sense. I was pretty angry about it.
Yeah, so as you start to look around, you notice that the handle to the door itself has been removed. There's a hole where it once was. Then as you continue looking around, starting to really look to see what's going on in there, you start to hear the refocusing of cameras. So as they kind of zoom in, zoom out, the iris opening and closing, you can hear a slight mechanical whir coming from the ceiling. And when you look up, you can see a few domes where those noises are coming from, so it'd be pretty apparent that you are being watched.
And Sam immediately hisses as much as he sort of drops to a squat and ineffectively tries to like get into a blind spot of the cameras, but if they're domes, he can't see if they're, whatever. But just making himself small and try to hide maybe behind a carcass. And he reiterates, "We're being watched."
You get used to it.
Rain will begin to panically look around where these cameras are, and then probably snarl.
Yeah, so from the coverage of what you can see position-wise of the cameras, it would be pretty hard to fully get out of range of any of the cameras. One thing that's also been pointed out in chat is willpower. You have the option to spend willpower to re-roll any failed rolls. I believe that it is, you can use 1 point of willpower up to a maximum of, to re-roll up to a maximum of 3 dice.
Yes.
So that'll be something that we'll have to remember in the future. The nice thing with the bot that we're using is right at the bottom, let's see if I can get my arrow, there is a reaction at the bottom that you can easily click that to re-roll those dice, and I don't think that you re-roll your hunger dice. Those are solid. It's just your other dice that will get re-rolled.
Yeah. That's handy.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's another option too. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's not willpower, it's something else. It'll show up in a little bit here probably. Alright, so you see that there's cameras, that you are being watched. There is the door, and the door is missing a handle. What do you do?
Do we all see this door?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to run at it and try and break it down. Like, Rain's not happy with this at all. Like, he's been in situations like this before, and certain horrific flashbacks are coming back to him, and he wants to get out. He does not like this at all. He's pissed.
And as Chad is saying, we found the barbarian. Okay. So, I just need to figure out what that would be. I think if I can get you to roll, basically your attack action at difficulty 4.
Alright.
And now if you use Blood Surge to add some more strength to that body of yours, we could probably add a few more dice.
Sure, and how would I go about doing that? Not blood surged before.
Okay, so to Blood Surge, you may add 1 die to any action or discipline roll, but then you also have to make a rouse check.
Alright. I think I'll do that.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
No, you first.
Despite how that rouse check turns out, you automatically get that 1 dice. This is going to happen one way or another. It's just a matter of, are you going to tempt the beast even further and get more hungry as you go?
Mm-hmm. Now I failed that rouse check.
Okay, so you would increase your hunger to up by 1, so you're now sitting at a 3.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I'm just picking up on now, now I might be wrong on this, for those of us who are familiar with V20 and Revised and 2nd and 1st edition, we are used to having a blood pool. I'm not seeing that on these character sheets, so I'm assuming that our hunger takes place of the blood pool itself.
That's
It's
correct.
to do things like spending from a blood pool. It's a rouse check now, I believe.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that actual pool itself is gone. Which is, you know what,
Okay.
as I was reading through V5, that was a neat little change, was the hunger dice.
Yeah. What difficulty would you say that?
4. It's a pretty sturdy door.
Alright. Just making sure I've got all the numbers correct.
Oh,
That is a success, I believe.
Yeah, you move back away from the door a little bit and you give yourself a running start and you throw everything that you have into this door. And as you connect, you start to feel the metal buckle underneath as a door starts to screech and basically slam itself open, bouncing off the wall as it finishes its arc. And as that happens, you tumble down onto the ground after plunging right through this door, essentially.
Nice.
So Jay and Sam will hear this going on. Sam will probably be able to see this a little bit better from his attempted hiding spot.
is there any immediate reaction other than the sound of the door clattering and collapsing to the ground? Like calls of alarm or surprise or...
No. No. You do feel some warmer air start to drift into the freezer, which you notice, or which you take note on your skin.
Yeah, then without hesitation, Sam will immediately spring into movement, stop by our ram, and offer to help him up. And he's like, "On your feet," in a sort of like stern soldiery voice.
Okay, don't gotta tell me twice.
And then presses through the door.
Should I bring our friend?
Sam does not even respond.
Alright, see you later, bud.
As you all pile out of the frozen holding cell, you find yourself in a kitchen that is bright, reasonably clean, and it features the type of equipment you would expect in a high-end restaurant. And you think that's where you are. The contrast with the meat locker you just exited may give you a pause. And as your eyes look for an exit, you find two. There's a set of doors that no doubt leads to the main room of the restaurant, and a side door with a green emergency exit sign.
There's nobody in the kitchen.
No.
Are there any, I assume there are, but say like a chef's knife or some sort of knife somewhere on a counter?
Yeah, this would be still decked out like a standard kitchen. I'm assuming that they might have magnetic strips on the wall to hang up the knives when they're not in use, because I'm assuming that's the thing. I've never been in a professional kitchen before, but that's what I would do.
Yeah, Sam will snap one of those and sort of hold it low. And is this one of those sort of restaurants where there's like the little window portholes into the main dining room?
No. No, there's just a, what is it? Twin doors that, you would see them kind of back out through so they don't spill their plates, and then the doors would swing. Double hinged doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do those doors have windows on them?
Yes, one each.
Rain would storm through, probably picking up whatever knife was closest to him and just mutter loudly to himself, "What sort of fucking freak keeps people in a fridge?" And he'll storm to the door and see what he can see through the window before bursting through. He's not that hot-headed.
I thought it was comfy.
The fuck? Are you alright? Did you hit your head or something?
I'm fine. I like the cold.
Sam just regards them both suspiciously.
Yeah, so as you move towards to look out the window to see what's out there, you start to see the door open inwards.
Like towards us?
Yes, yeah, like somebody is... Well, exactly like somebody is coming into the kitchen, because somebody's coming into the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
Can I hide?
Yeah, yeah, there would be space, we'll say, behind some of the counters. So, like, there's the counter along the wall, and then at the end of it, you'd be able to kind of crouch behind to partially obscure the view from the door.
Rain will sort of leap to the side by the door, like in a sort of crouched position, knife in hand, just waiting how that person reacts, depending on if he shanks him or not, or grapple him or whatever. Like someone's locked him in a freezer, and he's gonna do whatever he can just to get out. If they're a threat, they're going down. He's not a happy bunny.
I don't think anyone is in this situation.
Yeah.
Sam will take a sort of a similar approach. Like he'll attempt to hide, but given that he's like put himself out in front of the kitchen and someone's coming in, he doesn't really have a lot of time. So.
Yeah, so the door continues to open up, and honestly, in the situation that you've been into, your responses, I feel, are reasonable.
I'm not a crazy person, I swear.
Yeah, so the door continues to open, and you see, let's see what exactly you see. I need to grab my D6. I'll go. So Rain will be 1 and 2. Jay will be 3, 4, and Sam will be 5, 6. And we have a 4, so that would be Jay. So yeah, as you were trying to peek through some some spaces in the words don't fail me now. What are you hiding behind? Like a counter. Yeah.
Yeah.
A stainless steel counter. I'm thinking that there'd be openings underneath from the store, like pots and pans and whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So as the person starts to move in through the door a little bit more, you see that they are dressed like a guard. Not like police or anything, just your standard rent-a-cop of sorts. Blue uniform, some crappy patch on the shoulder. He is wearing a utility belt. There's no gun that you can see, like no holster. He has some zip ties that are sticking out from one pouch, a flashlight, a radio in one of his holders. He doesn't look too threatening. So as you're looking on, Jay, the guard looks familiar to you. Turns out that they're a distant relative.
Oh,
You remember their name. So the name Parker comes to mind. You haven't seen them in ages.
she like hops up, like she like does a little jump. She's like, Parker!
At this flurry of movement and excitement, you see him kind of start for a second and take a step back and look at you like you're not supposed to be here. Nobody's supposed to be here. And he's looking, it's like, oh shit. And then it dawns on him. You could see the familiarity dawn in his eyes now that he recognizes you. And you hear him say, Jay! And he's almost smiling at this point, having fond memories of your younger years that you used to spend, like your summers together at some cabin when your families would get together. And attacking your friends, your family, would never cross your mind.
Cool. She goes, somebody locked me in a freezer.
Now, what are the other two doing at this point, now that it sounds like they are... Jay and Parker are family or friends, at the very least?
Well,
Rain,
sorry, go ahead.
Rain will just shout, explain what's going on here, Fruit Loop, or this guy's going to get it.
At the instant that Parker comes to the door, Sam looks like he's ready to immediately act, like he's done probably multiple times before. And then when Jay pops up and shouts, he sort of like hesitates and is like, "Can this get any weirder?" and he just sort of stops with the knife blade out, like ready to defend himself if he has to, but is otherwise silent.
Ready to get down to it. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Loop. Listen, I'm pretty sure that's derogatory. I don't appreciate that. Parker's like my cousin. Second cousin? I don't remember.
Yeah, second cousin, twice removed on your mother's side.
Yeah. It's really complicated. We used to play kickball when we were kids, when we were up at the cabin in Wisconsin, and
I'm sorry, I thought it was nicer than cannibal. You ate a dead person in the fridge. Now, and Rain will look back at the Parker dude. Start talking. What the fuck's going on here?
Well, you're not supposed to be here. And what the hell are you talking about, eating a body? Or, sorry, was it a person?
I didn't eat
It was a
him.
dead person.
He's still in there.
Come on, I need you three to start making sense, because nobody is supposed to be here. I've been here for the last week and nobody has been here.
Okay, then we've been in the freezer for longer than a week. Parker, put it together.
How would you survive in a freezer for more than a week?
Maybe you're not very good at your job. You weren't very good at kickball.
You keep this up and I'll put you back in the freezer.
What? I think that's illegal.
You're so scaring me almost half to death.
Sorry.
Finally, Sam snaps out of it and is like, "Where the hell are we?"
Let's see if this place has a name. Here, Sam, what do you think this place is called? It looks like it's a fancier restaurant. And, I don't know, you kind of come off as a little bit pretentious. So, kind of right up your alley.
What?
Oof.
All Tremere are pretentious.
Oh, I see.
Shots fired, gloves dropped. Toreador Master Clan.
Well.
So you're asking me to come up with a name?
Yeah.
La Cuisinette.
Magnifique.
It's a French restaurant.
Yeah, so he tells you that, well, I mean, how do you not know where you are? You're the ones that are in this kitchen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you think we just walked ourselves into the freezer and shut the door?
Well, I sure as hell didn't do it.
Is there any
Nobody
way I
said
can
to do
check?
it.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Go for it.
I was just going to ask if there was any way I could tell whether this guy was lying by looking at his body language or at all.
I don't know. Let's see what we have in here for skills.
Be insight, probably.
I think so. Which, we don't have anything listed here for rain and insight. Well, here, you know what? Let's use wits and streetwise, because I figure streetwise could be used to try and gauge how people's reactions are. So that'll be 5 dice.
What on streetwise, sorry?
Wits and streetwise. And we'll go with difficulty 2 in this case.
Okie dokie. Diff 2, did you say?
Yes, yeah. Cool.
Success.
Yeah, so you look at him and you notice that as soon as he's seen Jay, that his body just kind of relaxed, and he doesn't look like he's trying to hold anything back. He's about as confused as you are about this whole situation. You would totally believe that he had no idea that anybody was in the freezer and nobody was supposed to be here.
After Raymond slowly pieced together and work out that maybe this guy's been honest, still trying to retain that intimidating, threatening persona, with the knife in his hand, and could you at least show us the way out if we're not supposed to be here? And you sort of like encourage him with a gesture with a knife.
Whoa, buddy, you don't have to be pointing that thing at me. I will get you out of here as quick as we possibly can, because, you know what, if my supervisor comes by, I don't need to let him see that I have people on site. This is my job, and I don't want to risk it.
I'm sure he doesn't
want to wipe
see
the
us
cameras then?
either.
Sorry, could you repeat that, Laura?
Oh, I just said, yeah, I'm sure he doesn't want to see us either.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a bit of an asshole. But bosses, am I right?
Not what I meant, but yeah, sure, let's go with that.
Okay. Yeah, so he starts to guide you through the dining room of the restaurant. And you can see some writing on, say, the front desk that points to, how'd you word it? La Cuisinart?
Cuisinette.
Yeah. However you spell that. Yeah, he's trying to make small talk with Jay, kind of catch up. It's been many years since you two have had a chance to sit and talk. At least not so much in your adult years. You were a little bit closer when you were younger, but, you know, life starts to get away with you, and then life gets away from you. You know how it is.
Yep.
One day you're a human, next day you're a vampire. Yeah, so sorry, awkward silence.
Right?
He gets you to the front of the restaurant, and he opens the door for you. And he doesn't make any motion to step outside as well. He's just kind of pushing it open to ease your egress. I can remember that word, but not what a counter is called. Figure that one out.
It happens.
Is Parker wearing a hat of some description?
Yes. Yeah.
Rain will leave the building and he will just turn with a sinister smile and says, thanks, and then with the blade of the knife just try and flip the hat off.
Yeah, again, you see him kind of pull back as the knife kind of clips the brim of the hat and kind of flicks it off.
Oh, can I catch it?
Sure, yep.
Oh, I'm gonna put it on. Bye, Parker. Tell your mom hi.
Man, I paid a deposit on this uniform.
That's okay.
I want that back later. I'll give you a call, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Sam says something to the effect of, well, this is just too easy, and walks straight out the door.
As Rain will leave, he will begin to put the blade, I don't know, like, he's probably wearing a belt of some description. He's just feeding the blade into it. I imagine it's just a shoelace of something. A bit of rope.
Yeah, that would be no problem at all. Okay. Alright, so you have escaped the freezer. You have just dealt with the guard. Very peaceful, or peaceably, may I add.
Yes, peacefully.
So once we're out into the street, what do we see? What time is it? Are there people around?
It is nighttime.
Good. You walk out the door, you all die. Oh.
Get hit by a car.
Sun cooks you alive.
Yeah. Yeah, so you walk down the steps. Sorry, I'm just also watching chat.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, it can get distracting sometimes and kind of make me lose composure. I'm trying to be serious. Don't make me laugh.
Yep, sorry, serious face.
I can't do that. Yeah, so you exit the building and you walk down the 2 steps onto the asphalt in front, which has the parking lot right there. If you look behind you, you see Parker close the door behind you, and you hear clicking of metal as you are assuming he's locking the door behind him. That way he doesn't have to deal with anyone else coming out of freezers or into the room or kitchen or whatever. The light of the restaurant itself is turned off. You see a sign on the door that we'll read from this distance as closed, with some details below it. Temporarily closed for renovations or something. Come check out our other location at some address in the city, which has not been given a name. Sounds like it's too nice of a place for my city, at least, so.
Once out on the street and the door's closed behind them, and it doesn't seem like anyone's jumping out and grabbing us, he does this sort of like far-eyed, surveyed thing where he turns around and says, "Who the hell are you people?"
Well, I'm Jay. I play online poker.
Ray, just trying my own freaking business. Who the hell are you?
Samuel.
Pleasure.
Oh, same. What do you guys remember?
Not much, actually.
I don't know.
Last I remember, I was just sitting around a campfire I made.
I was playing a poker game.
What about you, Samuel?
He hesitates and says, "Nothing. Not really.
That's not suspicious.
It absolutely is not. Why the hell were we in a locker?"
No idea.
To keep
know
us
what?
cool, probably.
They're going to need a new door. He says, like, rubbing his arm, just realising he managed to knock down an industrial freezer door. How the
Yeah?
fuck did-
That was impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
it kind of was, wasn't it? That thing old.
I don't think so.
Mm.
Oh, it now occurs to me though. Now that we're out, maybe we're in like a streetlight or something. But actually, side question to Charlotte first. Would we have been redressed? Like, are we wearing the same thing that we were wearing before we were put into the freezer? Is my
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is actually a gaping hole on Samuel's chest, thereabouts where his heart would be.
Oh, that's weird.
Is it bloody around the edges?
Probably. Vampires
That
bleed,
looks
right?
pretty bad, bud.
Yeah, so he'd have a bloody shirt with a hole in it. Who knows where that came from? He looks down as if noticing it for the first time, and there's sort of like remembrance in his face, and he like feels around, but there doesn't seem to be a wound or anything. That's weird.
Sure is. And Rain will sort of look down at his own. Does he have a similar wound?
You know what? To be completely fair, I haven't given every single character sheet a complete read through. I don't think so. Yeah, I think it just says. Yeah, I don't believe so. I think that would just be Sam. In my defense, and this is towards Milkless, I am a complete hack. I make all this shit up on the go. I don't prepare for anything.
I'm just going by what's on my sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that your clothing would be damaged too much.
So, do we recognize where we are? Like, the street we're on?
Yeah, yeah, if you were versed with this city, there is probably a good chance that you've been down this road once or twice before. It's a little off the beaten path, but it's still considered like a secondary route to get to certain places in the city. Typically, when you've gone past this place, you would have seen it all lit up. Right now, as you're looking around, as I was saying, you have the building behind, the light is turned off. There's a sign on the door. There are a few custom, fancy-ass looking street lights along the front of the building, which are turned on. So like you're saying, you're probably standing in a street light before, it'd be from one of these. It's very French looking to go with the whole aesthetic of this restaurant itself. And if you haven't been here for a while, you may recognize this area as a different, under a different name. May have gone out of business a few years ago and it's been redeveloped into what it is now. You know, as a lot of big cities do, they're constantly reinventing themselves in certain areas in the city.
Right.
Gentrifying, is that the term?
Yeah, I believe so. Gentrification.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking over my sheet real quick.
Yep.
If there's any other information. Sam just shrugs and says, "Well, nice to meet you guys. I think I'm gonna go home now."
Can I come?
No?
Rain will just sort of look and go absolute bewilderment, like. But does he look tasty to you?
Nice, not my type, but there might be people around that are.
Yeah, just shifted into this persona of I eat people rather well.
Aren't you guys hungry?
Could do with a drink. Pub?
Okay.
Okay, so as you start to talk about going elsewhere, let's see if this will be appropriate. Yeah, it works. Sound effects for those of you who are not listening fully right now. So you hear a noise behind you. You start to hear the scuffing of shoes on the cement, which is coming from the side of the building. And as
Maybe
these
we don't
steps...
have to find a pub.
Sorry?
Maybe we don't have to find a pub.
Rain will just slowly turn, reaching slowly for that blade by his rope belt.
Yeah, so now the figure is starting to move a little bit more in front of the restaurant. Now as you look back, you see the silhouette of a tall woman with an average build. So as she steps into the light, you can see that she's wearing a nicely cut, what looks in this light to be a black suit, with the jacket unbuttoned, and you can see a rich emerald green camisole underneath. And she looks at you and kind of looks at each of you in turn and says, "One moment." And she walks up to the door of the kitchen and knocks on the door. You wait a moment while this all occurs, and you see the door open with Parker poking his head out, thinking that it might be Jay coming back to talk or hopefully return his hats. But as you're listening in, you hear her say to Parker when he opens the door, "You're going to forget the last 10 minutes of what occurred." And you kind of see a blank look over his face and kind of his brow furrow a little bit, and then she'll tell him, it's like, "Well, have a good day," and you'll kind of be confused and nod and go back inside, close the door, and as before, you hear the lock sliding over, and then she comes back down.
I think that means I get to keep the hat.
Yeah, I think so, Fruit Loop.
Oh, sweetie, there are so much nicer hats than that. I mean, style
Sam.
is
Okay.
important.
Not really.
Sam will point with a knife and say, "You were the one watching us."
No.
As Samuel will say that, Rain will draw his knife as well. Probably bare his teeth / fangs.
Yeah, so
Wait, what's...
go ahead.
Oh, she's confused as to why they're both reacting like this. She's like, "This lady just let me keep my hat."
Such gratitude.
What gratitude.
You see her put her hands up. "No, I am not the one that is watching you, and can you please put that away? We don't need to resort to that. You will lose." You feel this air of confidence coming from her. Almost slightly
Sam will-
arrogant.
Sam will lower the blade slightly, but still hold it in a defensive sort of manner, and stare at her very, very intensely. And does she have a pulse, like he noticed Parker had?
Let's do another... Well, no, you would see that... Oh, that was weird. you could notice that she is a little bit more pale than what you would expect.
Uh-huh.
So she doesn't... She almost looks like the three of you in that regards. You don't see her breathing. But if you want to go up and check her pulse, I'm not sure she'd be too keen on that. You could try.
Well, I mean, I assume that the kindred would have some sense of like, oh, that's a source of fresh blood I can drink, versus, kindred who aren't.
You know what? My lore on that aspect is failing me.
Hunter instinct,
Yeah.
I think that varies from book to book.
Yeah. I would say that you'd be able to get a sense that she is not living.
Mm-hmm.
The living have a certain, we'll say, scent about them.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman does not have that. Okay, yeah, so chat is saying that, well, Helt in particular is saying that vampires don't automatically know what other people, or that other people are vampires. Specifically or especially one so young. Yeah, so she, in this case, wouldn't be making any overt motions to hide her nature.
Mm-hmm.
Rain probably won't be backing down at all. He'll probably stop snarling, sort of turn into an aggressive pout, like tightening of the lips, like.
Right, so...
So are we just gonna stand around? Because I'm hungry.
Yeah, so she starts to get a little bit closer to you, and then you all pull knives on her, and she is a little bit defensive, backs up a little bit to give you your space. And, she looks at you, and she is, well, taking a moment to process what she's seeing.
Sam just says, "What the hell is happening?"
Well, what do you know?
I ate a man.
Someone's going to need a new fridge door.
We're dead.
You're dead. That's a thing. What makes you say that?
Well, it's happened twice now.
What, that you've died?
He sort of gestures at the hole in his chest.
Well, yeah, I guess I could see how you would make that assumption. So do you know how you got here?
No.
Oh.
Suppose you do, sweet cheeks.
Well, no need for name calling.
That's kind of his thing, I've learned.
Well, you know what? To be honest, I'm surprised to come across you here. I came here looking to find some other information, but there is no better information than you three by the looks of it. So it seems to be my lucky night. Saved me a lot of hassle. Now, my name is Charlotte. I'm happy to meet you. It is convenient, actually, and for those of you in the chat who are on the Discord server will kind of know this connection, because I am very unoriginal. It's actually not the case. But you know what? We are very exposed out here right now. We should probably leave. My driver is just around the corner. She'll be here in a moment. We are I don't know how to put this without... I can't skirt around this too much. We are in danger from the Second Inquisition. And, I don't want to answer what that is right now. I can see the looks of confusion on your face. I'll explain that when we get a moment.
Nobody did expect the Spanish Inquisition.
Not appropriate.
That is not true. Not only did we expect it, we had a hand in that. But again, we can approach that topic a little bit later.
Why should we trust you?
Why should you not?
I trust her.
You are the ones, after all, pointing knives at me. And here I am, trying to get you out of here into safety.
I don't have a knife.
Just enough. Sorry, you first.
What was Jay saying?
Sorry.
I don't have a knife, but if I did, I wouldn't point it at you.
Some jackass locked us in a fridge. And I don't know who that is, but someone's got to answer my fucking questions.
Well,
I'm tired of smart-ass little... He sort of loses his words, just try not to lose his temper too much, because he knows he's outdoors, he knows he's going to cause this thing, but he really wants to do the old stabby stab. In short, he is pissed.
like I said, my driver's almost here. I can hear her turning the corner now. I will get all of your questions answered in the car. But I understand that this is a very stressful situation for you. But I will do everything in my power to ease your mind. And then looking at Jay, she would say, "Darling, you don't need a knife. Your wits are sharp enough."
Oh,
A knife does often help, though. And
Yeah.
Sam
Yeah, it
like
does.
lowers the knife.
Rain will too, but he still holds it in his hand. He doesn't put it away. Might twirl his wrist around a little bit just as a reminder that it's still there.
Yeah, so you would see her pull out her phone quickly, make a quick call. You would hear her say, "Whereabouts are you?" You don't hear the reply. And she hangs up the phone and says, "Yeah, just one more minute longer. She is stopped at the red light. We don't need her getting a ticket, so we have a moment."
Whoever
So-
took us knows we escaped. They had cameras.
More than likely. So I mentioned the Second Inquisition. It's not going to make a lot of sense to you right now, but think of the First Inquisition, but worse. I have heard some rumors about the Second Inquisition safe house on my turf. I just don't know where it was until now. And it was honestly a stroke of luck that you three came out when you did, because I'm not sure if I would have been able to see this otherwise. But while I heard that this was in the area, what I didn't realize was that it was one of their population control centers. The Second Inquisition is bad news for all of us kindred. If you've ever heard of the original Inquisition, picture that with the support of modern governments and using state-of-the-art technology and weaponry to hunt us down. They're out to destroy every last one of us. But they also want to study us, which is why they don't always kill us immediately. And then she'll point at the tear in Sam's shirt. And I'm pointing that may have been a source of examination for what went on there. I assume that is why they left you here, to collect you later. To study you before they destroy you, so they're probably either nearby or on their way to check on you right now. I mean, if you'd rather stay out of their hands, please trust me. And then, she moves towards the street curb itself to make it easier for the driver to stop and pick her up. Now, at this point, there was a term that she used that may have made you perk a little bit. It's like kindred. What is kindred? She used it to refer to you, but at this point you would not know what the relationship with that term is.
The only thing that Rain would think of, kindred as in, like, as in a kindred spirit, as in, and you feel a little bit annoyed by that. But again, just restraining. Don't stab the bitch. Don't stab the bitch.
So angry.
He is. He's not happy with the situation at all.
Who would be?
Touche. Well, Jay is. Jay's quite fine. He wants to go back in there for it.
Yeah, doing all right.
I want to remind her about that poker game, though. Like, she probably lost.
Lost my life, but it's fine.
So the car is pulled up now?
Yeah, you would see the car, which is a... let me go here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll say it's a... I don't know. What could hold comfortably 4 people plus a driver? I don't want to say a limo, because a limo is kind of pretentious. We're not Venture. I mean, come on.
Or just like a nice SUV or something.
Yeah, something with a decent amount of legroom. Okay, so I have been corrected. In a VTM game, all cars are black SUVs.
Of course.
But
Blackout windows.
yeah. I like Space Age Pirates' response of a Jeep Wrangler, because that was my last car, and it'll be my next car, and I love those things. But they're not the most comfortable ride at times. So yeah, we'll say some nondescript, large black SUV that would look like, I don't know, like any other large black SUV that you can find. Yeah, so she'll go up, she'll open the back door, and let the 3 of you hop in if you so desire.
Yeah, Sam visibly hesitates, looks back just out on the street as if he's considering just whatever, figuring out on his own, but ends up, for some reason, getting in the car anyways.
Rain will be the last person to get in, just constantly taking his eyes from the other 2 entering the car and the suited lady, and eventually he will very reluctantly shuffle his way towards the car and put the blade in his rope belt and get in closest to a door if he can.
Yeah, so when she sees you put the knife into your rope belt, she'll say, you might want to hold on to that. I would rather if you didn't cut up the upholstery.
Sure. He'll pull it back out and get in.
And part of the reason why she was saying that is, like, you probably feel a little bit more safer having that a little bit easier at hand. She's looking out for you.
Words.
Yeah. She is here to look out for your best intentions. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, so you get in, she closes the door behind you, and she hops into the passenger seat in the front. And as the driver starts to pull away from the curb, she'll tell her to just drive around, something along those lines. So she is going to kind of lean over in her seat and turn around and look at you. It's a little bit easier because she doesn't have a seatbelt on at this point. Living dangerously. Alright, so this is all very new to you and confusing, and I can understand that. So let's start at the beginning. What can I tell you to help put your mind at ease, and what kind of questions do you have at this point? We'll start there, and then we'll be able to figure out what I need to tell you from here on in. So what are you? What do you know about your current existence?
Cold on the outside and fiery pissed on the inside.
Well, you know what? Judging by her accent, isn't that like all of British people?
Was that in or out of character?
In.
Yeah. Fair play.
It's been many, many years since I had a chance to go back to Britain. Almost getting due time for a return.
I wouldn't go there at the moment. There's a real shit heap there at the moment.
Well, I think you could say that about all places right now.
Give or take.
Alright, so you have a rage deep down and you feel cold on the outside.
Yeah. Woke up in a fridge.
I can see how that would make you cold. And then when I first came upon you, you asked if I was the one watching you.
You seem to know more about this than we do.
Well, sweetie, I've been around for many, many years. It's the Second Inquisition is not the most original.
Just assumed. Showed up rather conveniently. There were cameras in the fridge.
Too conveniently.
And how did you escape?
We walked out.
You knocked on the door.
Broke a fridge door. It looked new, but it's not built very well. Didn't try hard at all.
I see. Alright. And then what happened?
You saw Parker.
You speak of him with happiness in your voice.
I always sound like this. But he's my cousin. Or second cousin. Or my mom's cousin.
Gotcha.
Do you know why she's enjoying this so much?
It's really starting to weird me out.
I have my suspicions. Yes. But I'll just call it a charming quirk of her personality.
Charming. Pigs can fly.
Yeah, that is a whole different topic. Alright, so. You may or may not know this yet, but you are dead. I'm so sorry for your loss.
I don't think
What?
that's how that works.
What, just being dead like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still talking. I don't think dead people talk.
Well, there are going to be some realities that are going to change for you in the next little while. You are what you may know to be undead. We are vampires.
Like in the movies.
Off.
Cool.
Like in the movies, to a point. Garlic will not repulse you. Crosses, for the most part, won't have much of an issue. You can cross running water all night long, and that's not going to have an issue. You don't need to breathe, you have no pulse, and you eat blood. Sorry, you drink blood. Eat blood, drink blood? Both?
Sam looks incredulous, but also has a look of like, yeah, I know. like he's just kind of like trying to fake the fact that he doesn't remember what happened.
Rain wants to lash out, but in that brief moment of silence of her explaining that to him, I think this would be the point when he's realising, shit, I'm not breathing. He'd probably, like, instinctively grab his chest where his heart would be, probably wouldn't feel anything, or he wouldn't feel anything. And he'd probably realised, shit, when was the last time I blinked? Well, this slow realisation that, shit, she may be on something. Shit.
Depending on how you want to take this, I can apologize for whoever did this to you or not. This could be, this could be a good thing. There are some benefits to this. It's not all bad. I mean, that being said, you should probably never have too much contact with your family from here on in. They wouldn't understand. Don't go around sharing this to others. They won't understand, and they might try and blab it to people who might not have your best intentions at heart. As I was saying, the Second Inquisition is the bane of our literal existence at this point in time. Hopefully we can change that as time goes on, but for now, we need to remain on guard. I mean, they have already destroyed a lot of our infrastructure, but luckily we have a few places that have not been compromised. This is at least one of my nightly battles, is to try and rout them out and get them out of our city, because it's bad for everybody involved. So, you're driving along, you feel the car go over a set of railroad tracks, and there's a little bit of a pothole right afterwards that you feel dip into it a little bit more. The driver makes some turns down this road and that, and you feel the sway of the car back and forth. The windows are not open, and there is just the faint sound of music coming over the radio. It's not turned up loud, just enough to make some background noise. Alright, so, what is the last thing that you all remember?
Father. He was there. He was driving something through me. I don't know. The stake's a thing? Like, put a stake through the heart, you blow up or whatever. Is that a thing?
Stakes are indeed a thing, but we don't die from it. It will put us into... it'll basically paralyze us until that stake is removed.
Rain will just sort of look down towards, sort of feeling the betrayal that he did not want to feel. Like, recalling years upon years of being betrayed by the system and friends, family, relatives. He sort of tenses his fists up. If he probably could, he probably snapped the blade just by holding it. I mean, it's on. It's just this rage, emotional rage that's just building. Unlike the other rages he's had throughout the rest of the night, this is different. This is a lot more personal.
Yeah, so as you are gripping clenching your fists, you will feel your nails start to pierce the skin on your hands. And as you look down, you'll start to see that where you had typical nails before, and I'm not sure how this would work out actual story-wise, but you have short little stubby claws at this point.
Probably hiss when he began to feel pain, like... Fuck. You ain't kidding about this vampire shit, aren't you?
Wish I was. And she'll look down to your hands, and would you release your hands enough to be able to see what's going on?
Yeah, when you say when you dig his fingers into his hand and you feel the blood, I'd imagine that's when he'd begin to feel some sort of pain. He would hiss and let go of the knife and just look at the damage he's caused. And that's at that point he would notice, probably on his thumbs first, then look at the rest of his fingers. And that's when he would have asked, you ain't kidding about this vampire shit.
Right. Yeah, so along with the no heartbeats, the cold skin and all that, we gain powers. So there are some stories out there that have a bit of truth to them. I still haven't been able to figure out whether Anne Rice was one of us or whether she was just tipped off. But either way, we have certain abilities. Unlike some of the movies, we do not sparkle in the daylight. I do not advise going out in the daylight. But as you get more versed in your new reality, you will start to feel other aspects start to emerge. Your claws, for example, are one such power. They're more of a feral attribute, we'll say. That there are some clans that do have that ability naturally.
Clans. What's that? Different kinds?
Yes. Think of it like different paths on a family tree. We all started with one. I'm not going to get into too much of our history at this point. That could take years and years. And you know what? If you really want later on down the road, I'll see where an acquaintance of mine is and see if he can enlighten you on those things. But he's kind of hard to track down. He gets around.
Oh, are we all the same then?
Same, but different.
I mean, the three of us.
I don't think so. Kind of think of it like Hogwarts, but for goths. You're all vampires, but you're from different houses. It's kind of hard to narrow it down at this point from what I've seen, but... Now, as an aside, I might get some of this wrong. Disciplines have changed over the years. She would tell Rain that's like, looking at you, I think you may either be from a clan called Gangrel, or once upon a time, Nosferatu had the same... I can't remember what it is. Is it animalism that gives you claws?
No, that's Protean.
Yes. Did they have the same?
Nope.
Okay.
That's just the gangrel and all of their offshoots.
Fair. I have forgotten so much more than I've ever known. Now, is it still called Protean? Or has that
Yes.
changed? Okay.
That's still Protean.
Yeah, so you may be from a clan called Gangrel. They are... We'll call them a little bit more of our rustic family line.
It's diplomatic.
And then our friend here, and she motions to Jay, it's like, did you always say everything that is on your mind before all this happened?
No, not really.
What did you do before all this?
I played video games for a long time. Like professionally, I was really good at them. But then some fucking kids... Sorry?
No, Sam laughs. He actually sort of like almost interrupts you as you're speaking to like laugh at the idea of professional video gaming. Very rudely.
It's not funny. It's not funny. I made good money doing it. I was good at it. But then there were these kids, and they were, these Zoomers, these Gen Z, whatever they're calling themselves, they're another fucking breed. Sorry, they're another breed. So I had to stop doing that because I wasn't as good as these kids who were spending all their time in front of a computer. And then I started playing online poker, and I got really good at poker. I used to be really quiet. I'm not quiet anymore. That's probably bad.
Well, that depends on your definition of bad.
Can't really play poker with a loud mouth.
Well, if you said that you played video games before, I mean, there's online poker, right?
Well, I do that sometimes.
You
I
should be
guess.
you should be fine. Now, there is some of ours that... I don't know, there's no easy way to put this one, but they're just a little cracked. Like, think of it as you're looking into a mirror, and that mirror is broken, and you see different facets of yourself.
So I'm broken?
No, you just now have a different way of perceiving the world. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
It just might take... Sorry. It just might take a little bit to get used to your new condition, but you'll come around.
Rain, who had been very absorbed in his own dwellings and trying to make heads and tails of all of this, will speak up at this point and said, "Sorry for calling you Fruit Loop."
It's okay.
And continue to return to his self-absorption.
Then she'll turn to Sam. It's like, so what about you? What's your story?
Well, I haven't got claws. My mind is just fine. What I remember, she told me to wait, and then they were shooting, and then they staked me.
Sounds exciting. Where were you when this all happened?
It kind of hard to explain. It's like an abandoned something or another. There was almost like an exhibition dedicated to me. She said that they had noticed me while I was in Iraq, and that my enthusiasm for my studies surpassed everyone's expectations. There were pictures of me in Iraq studying ruins, finding manuscripts, on patrols. Up to that point, that was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me.
And then you woke up. Sadly, that's not the joke of dreaming. I'll have to watch you a little bit more. Let's see if I can glean any information. Alright, so... One, we have you, and she'll point to Rain. You're a Gangrel. She'll point to Jay. You are more than likely called Malkavian. And, you know, there are some others that are like you from your clans in the city. And later on, we can make those introductions. Provided that you survive the next few days. The first few days of your new existence will be some of the harder ones as you get used to our, we'll call it society, for lack of a better term. One thing that I need to impress upon you all is that, from what I was saying before, don't let anybody know what you are. We have this thing that we like to cleverly call the Masquerade, because why would we call it anything else, that we try and uphold. We don't want society outside of our own society to know we exist, because humans don't adapt well to what they don't know. And when you see vampires in movies, we're always the monsters. Whether it's pretty or sparkly or just downright disgusting, we are the monsters. And you know what? They're not wrong. We do some pretty horrible shit. But I would also like to think that we do some good in the world. I mean, we have an eternity to do whatever we want, so I don't know, I kind of like to think of it as a game of scales. You do something bad here, you do something good there. It's no different than what we were in our real life, or in our human lives. You know, we were all kind of assholes at one point. We were all pretty decent people at some point or another. We've all been dealt shitty hands and good hands. Now, you just have more of a chance to be in control of what you do. And be valuable members of our society. So,
I'm not having fun anymore.
well, I'm sorry to hear that, but it'll get better. It's a shock, I get that. So at this point, would there be any questions that your characters would have to anything that they've heard before or their new existence in terms of, okay, well, I'm a vampire, I drink blood. What's that all about? Or powers, or the feeling that you would feel deep down as you start to expend your energy towards feats that would have been impossible up until tonight.
Rain would probably look up and ask, earlier on, you used a word. Kindred? Something like that?
Kindred.
What's that?
Yes,
Kindred.
that's just our name for ourselves. I mean, it's kind of vulgar going around calling people vampires all the time, and my vampire this, my vampire that. At one point, we thought we were clever, but in reality, we're not. Another term that you'll hear used often could be kine, like cattle. And as someone who now feeds off of the blood of humans, they are now livestock in all intents and purposes. And that is why some of us have groups of people that we like to hang around with that we call herds. Because again, we are clever.
Is that why we were locked in a fridge?
No, I think that was just to keep you in place while they brought someone there to pick you up. For whichever reason.
I see.
We have to kill people now to survive.
No. It will happen. I won't sugarcoat that, but no, that is not a requirement of your survival. Unless somebody finds out about who and what you are, and then either you have to take care of it, or we'll know. We'll have to take care of it, and that might get messy. But yeah, as long as you maintain in control of yourself, you will be able to focus on not killing the people that you will eventually feed off of. It does take practice.
So after being a jackass earlier on. Just what to say.
I understand what you're going through. It's been a while since I went through the same, but I did go through the same, and you'll make up for it eventually.
Do I owe you like a debt or something?
I don't like that term. One thing that you're going to find out is that in our extended existence that it's sometimes better to have people who are on your side than not. We live a long time, and that means we can hold on to grudges for a long time.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Yeah, so as you're all talking, you feel the car kind of still turning and bumping, and at this point now you are, if you were to look outside the window, you would see the, like an industrial area start to go by. There's no cars in the parking lot. There's hardly any vehicles that you pass by on the road. It is looking pretty quiet out here. Looking at the clock on the car dash, you will see that it is sometime between midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning.
So we can't go out at all during the day anymore.
If you want to stay alive, no. Now that being said, as soon as the sun starts to come up, you're going to start to feel really tired, and you're not going to be able to help but essentially pass out when that sun hits the horizon. So every morning, make sure that you are someplace safe, someplace that is free, away from sun, but hopefully we can get into that in a few hours as we get your sleeping arrangements sorted out.
We have to sleep in coffins?
If you want.
Ew.
I mean, you could buy a new one. You know what? There are some of us too that have to sleep in their dirt.
Ew.
Yeah. We have some pretty weird quirks.
Whatever will float your boat, I guess. And Rain will just sort of shrug. Probably slept in his fair share of shitholes.
Hey, I'm just going to take 1 second here to read through this quickly. Yeah, this part's kind of confusing how it works out, but yeah, so as the driver is still going down the streets, letting everyone have a chance to talk and get a little bit more familiarized with what is going down, you see the driver kind of look towards the other woman in the front and something along the lines of, I think we got I think we have somebody following us. As she kind of cocks her head behind, look behind us, you might see it. And sure enough, if any of you turn your heads to look to see where she's looking at, you would see roughly about 3-4 blocks down that there is a white van that's following you. And as the driver starts to make some turns, seeing what's going on, despite the distance, the van will keep on following, which, going down this industrial area at this time of night, that's kind of strange. So after a few blocks, she'll turn back and say, yeah, it looks like it. Alright, so we're going to have to stop and let you three out, and hopefully we can get you clear and they will continue to follow us.
Wait, where are we supposed to go?
Where would you like to go?
I don't know.
There's no plan at all. We just get out and that's it. Where do we stay for the day?
Okay, well, here. She reaches into her bag and grabs a cell phone and hands it to basically just in the back and waits for one of you to take it. It is one of those older flip phones, not like our new touchscreen smartphones. Take this, and I'll have somebody be in contact with you in an hour or two, and we'll get you sorted out for the night. So yeah, there are some different areas that you can think about, whether you just want to be let off on the street itself. If you want to go hit up a club or something, or a bar like you were talking about earlier, go for a bit of a drink if that is still on your mind, or start to think about actually feeding because you are starting to feel a little hungry. Jay and Rain more so than Sam at this point, but it is starting to gnaw at their core. So those are all valid places. Like some options that we have is the Cicero, which is a seedy motel. Club Violet, which is pretty much like a dance club, a little bit more higher end area, or just randomly on the streets, and we can see where we go from there.
I don't think any of us will fit in at a high class joint.
No.
So I guess
Whereas
the
I'm
city
calling
motel.
the police on. And whichever's going to get us least in trouble, because two of us are armed with kitchen knives.
Yes, I guess
I guess
Sam will take the cell phone, and I guess we'll just opt for the motel. Worst case, we'll just stay there.
Got someone following us, we best keep out of the way. Hide, essentially.
Yeah.
So, hotel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so, it's like, I know a place, so we'll get you dropped off, and, you'll be able to start living your lives. So, the driver takes you to, this a little bit more of a rundown part of the city. It has seen its better days, and those better days were like 50 years ago. The city keeps planning on revisiting that area to do a little bit more revitalization with it to help bring up the property values, but it's just one of those things that they've never gotten around to. So you pull up to this motel, which is shaped like a wide U, and in the center is a courtyard surrounded by the parking lot. And in this courtyard, you see a fence which is enclosing a pool. And as you get out, the driver quickly pulls to a stop. You get out, shut the door, and the driver's off very quickly. As the driver's slowing down, the other woman in the front will turn to you. It's like, we'll be in contact soon. Stay safe and await our phone call. And then you're out, doors closed, and they're off.
As
Sam
Rain's
will-
getting out the
Sorry, go ahead.
But as Rain's getting out the car, he will quickly and as subtly as he can put the blade down the back of his trouser pocket, but visible enough for him to grab if he needs to.
It's gotta be some pretty durable pants.
Just a kitchen knife.
True.
Yeah, Sam will put one of his, since he's wearing like, military trousers. He's got a big old cargo pocket. He can just dump his in. And then once he's out of the car, he'll linger for a bit, wait for them to drive away, and see what the van does.
Yeah, so as you get out, door closes, the car keeps going. All of this was done in the matter of, what would it be, roughly, like 10 seconds for all three to pile out?
Yeah.
At that point, you get out, you're standing on the curb, you're kind of starting to move away from the curb itself to start blending in like you've been there all along. And you can see the van behind you start to turn the corner and follow the SUV as it drives along. The SUV is not making any attempt at this point to turn down any side roads. They want to keep the attention. So at this point, the white van drives right past you.
I suggest we enter the motel then, in case they realise that we've disappeared.
Yeah, I can cover it.
They're walking.
Yeah, Sam will follow.
Right, so how are your characters feeling at this point now, finding out everything that they've been told?
For the first time tonight, Rain isn't feeling angry, and particularly, well, he is feeling angry. He's not feeling hostile to everyone around him. Like how similar to how I described earlier on, the angry with all the betrayals, and the thing I described within the stake is father, trying to piece together that maybe he's connected with the Second Inquisition. There's all that negative stuff. I think there's a part of him that's beginning to feel a bit positive, thinking that this perhaps might be the fresh start in life he's been trying to get. But it's all very conflicted and muddy emotions. Very confused.
For Sam, he's feeling... Well, he's pushing it deep down, but he's feeling very excited. Everything about it strikes him as very interesting, and he wants to know and learn more. But his mind is still sort of in survival mode, where he feels that they're in danger, and they're not yet out of the blue. So he's still, falling back into his old habits of, checking his six and making sure there's nothing immediately around, making plans for something were to happen. So he's sort of shoving his feelings deep down, not really embracing them yet.
Jay is terrified. She's trying very hard to keep her mind blank because she doesn't want to keep opening her mouth. She didn't realize that it had been kind of a compulsion, and now that she's been called out for it and somebody's put it into words, she's trying very hard to control it. She wants to go home and see her parents, even though she hasn't seen them in probably a couple years. She's regretting really ever getting into poker at all, which is what she thinks is what landed her in this situation.
All right. So, who's hungry?
She's also very hangry.
I imagine Rain would be a bit more aware of it as the night's gone on, which mechanically has been reflected with the increase of hunger, which is on 3 currently.
Yeah, so you feel the claws of the beast inside kind of starting to push out and wanting to be sated. Right, so you are outside of the hotel, and you can see people standing around outside of the hotel. Some are sitting, drinking. Others are just sitting, talking. You see a few people go into the rooms themselves. No one's paying much attention to at this point. Sorry. Did I mistake something? No. Alright, so you are standing there and you're looking at all these people, and you're starting to feel the pangs of hunger, and the claws of the beast start to grasp, and it's like, you know what, let's take care of this. Let's get fed. So are you going to try to sorry, I am having an issue with this section here. Yeah, so, damn, I am really stumbling at this part for whatever reason.
It's fine.
Okay, so you have a few options here at this point as to how to go about feeding for the first time. Being that you're at a hotel, you have essentially a buffet at this point. You have what's probably almost full rooms all the way around. You have people on the outside that you could try and entice away for some back alley little neck nibbles. How do you want to approach this? You can do it differently if you want. You can do it as a group. Like, you are now just starting to come to terms with shit. I eat people.
I have a quick question, mechanically.
Yep.
Slash, as we're like fledgling the vampires, how much of our disciplines are like inherent? Like, obviously, I probably don't know I can do blood sorcery, but would something like dominate feel natural?
You... At this point, I don't know if you'd actually be able to feel that you can dominate people, but when you get to a situation where you are trying to impose your will upon somebody, it would be a little bit more intuitive at that point. It would kind of just almost happen accidentally the first few times without realizing it's happening. But you would be able to get an idea of, well, shit, that was easy. So you know that there would be something there, something different now than there was before.
Okay. Well, given that, I think what Sam will do now, even though he's not as hungry as the others, he still, has this insatiable urge, and he's like, well, this is what I have to do now. He'll, so you said there's like a restaurant area to this hotel?
I called the hotel itself a restaurant because it's like a buffet. Like, you open a door, there's people. Okay. But yeah, there would be a restaurant on the bottom floor of the hotel.
Well, so I only asked that because what he's going to do is he's going to slip through where there's like a coat check area, and just like steal a coat, number one, because he's just wearing an undershirt, a bloody undershirt with a hole in it. That will draw attention. So he just like, he'll very slyly snag a coat or something and put it on. And then, following that, he'll try to find someone either at like the hotel bar or someone who's off by themselves and try to convince them to slip away with him for a moment.
Sure. Yeah, so you enter into the restaurant, and it's kind of like, it's your typical hotel restaurant. There's a front desk. There's a coat rack off to the side. You see some coats hanging there as well. There are a bunch of tables in the restaurant itself that are full. And then off to the corner, you see an entrance to what is labeled as a type of sports bar. So you want to head to the sports bar?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you head through the door, and it's like your typical sports bar anywhere. There's chairs, there's stools, there's higher tables, lower tables, there's the bar itself. There are probably, we'll say about 10 to 15 people in here. Some are in groups of 2 or 3, but 1 or 2 of them are sitting off on their own.
Target one of them at random.
One of the separate people?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to... Where is this table? There's a table here in this book. Appendix 2. We're on page 19 right now. Let's find Appendix 2. Okay, I am going to get you to roll a d10. I'm not sure exactly how to do it. I would say just exclamation V 1.
Okay.
Alright, so 4. Alright, so yeah, you walk into the... into the sports bar, and you look around, and you see a person that is sitting there all on his own. As you look upon him, you see him kind of bent over a little black book, writing very feverishly. He doesn't notice you as you come into the room. He's busy with his book. He is just sitting there, and then you start to move towards him. Mm-hmm. And as you get close, he looks up from his book, and he's kind of surprised that you're kind of getting closer to him, but he's not shocked or anything. I mean, it's a sports bar. People try and strike up conversations all the time.
Sam will say, is this seat taken?
No, please sit.
He'll pull up a seat and say, "What's you right?"
Well, I am struggling to get this poem written down. I mean, it has been my night to try and get something on this paper, but I don't know. I'm not sure if you're a writer at all or have had experience, but fucking writer's block is kicking my ass.
A poet. You're a poet. I've always had a thing for poets.
Well, I'd like to think so, but depending on who you ask, I don't know. I may have...
A poet.
Wow.
You just call yourself a poet. Bam, it's done.
I don't know. I think that lacks a little bit of poetry in itself. Like...
Sam will sort of like chuckle at this and say, "Well, only a poet would say that."
Oh. Would you? I don't know. Maybe you could listen to what I've got written down and provide some feedback. Like,
sure.
It's almost embarrassing at this point because it's so rough. But I don't know.
It's a bit loud in here, though. What if we went somewhere more quiet for it?
Yeah, sure. Right now I'm going to get you to roll your persuade with a difficulty of 3.
Is that plus anything, or?
No. Hold on a second. Where is your character sheet? You are Sam.
Or it'd be like manipulation plus persuasion.
You have in your actions persuade at 6 dice, which I am thinking would be
6?
Charisma and persuasion.
Okay. What's my difficulty?
3.
That's right. Yes.
Right, so yeah, you're talking to him and you're listening to what he has to say and trying to engage him in conversation, and he is not on guard around you, and when you suggest going outside to be able to hear him a little bit more as he recites his poem to you, he's like, yeah, you know what, that's a good idea. It is kind of noisy in here. It's pretty stuffy. It's been a warm night. Maybe the fresh air will help, and talking this through will help me get something written down, because I've been at this for hours. So at that point, the two of you walk out of the sports bar and out of the restaurant, and you are sporting your new jacket, which you've proffered on the way in. Nothing fancy at this point. So do you go, like, try and find a bit of a back alley or something to duck into, or
just anything out of sight, and once I feel like no one can see us?
Yeah, so we'll say along the side of the building, which goes down a back alley of sorts. Not a seedy alley, just a lesser used road. There are some trees beside the building which would create a decent blind from everybody else.
And once Sam feels that he's safe-ish, or that there's no prying eyes, he'll let instinct take over, and he'll fight the guy.
Chomp. Okay, so how do we do feeding? I think it's just, at this point you've made your test and you're able to listen to him a little bit, tell his poem, and then you're able to move in and take what you need. Yeah, so on here, quick hunting roll. If your group decides to forego hunting scenes and to use rolls instead, you meet with a veteran friend who will willingly give you some of their blood, which is a manipulation and persuasion. You've already talked him into going outside with you. At this point, you'd be able to get in quickly and do what you need to do. Like we were saying before, the kiss of a vampire is quite ecstatic for all parties involved. When you're done, he's kind of like woozy for a second. It's like, wow, I must have had a little bit too much to drink. What did you think of my poem? Is there merit to this? Is it...
Keep trying.
Thanks. That's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, so at that point he would go in and we'll move on to one of the other two.
So how does that affect my hunger? Does that just reduce me?
It reduces your hunger by 1.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. No, go ahead, sorry.
So Rain's going to use a slightly different approach. He's going to enter into the motel and he's going to try and find a member of staff.
Alright, so yeah, as you walk in at the front desk, there's a receptionist sitting there.
Male or female?
What would you rather have?
I have no preference.
Okay.
Because it's just going to address how I address them, as either she or he.
I'll go 1 to 3 is male, 4 to 6 female. And that is a 5. So it is a woman.
Right, so he's going to storm up to the front of the desk and... Love, look, I'm really sorry to disturb you, but could I borrow your phone? Like, a phone I can use. I've had a fucking rough night. I mean, you sort of, like, show off his, like, tattered clothes and things. Like, look, I just need to phone a few people just to let them know that I'm alright, because it's alright if I can just, like, use a phone and have a bit of privacy. My phone's and wallet's been stolen. It's like...
Sounds like you've had a rough night, but, I'm sorry, we don't have a phone to use for the public. I mean, if you want to rent a room, then you have a phone up there to use, but I've been given shit about this so many times in the past. I'm sorry, I can't.
Not a problem, love. Would you mind showing me where the phone is then, or at least like someone to show me where it is then?
Do you have persuasion at all?
Good question.
You got intimidate, lockpick. So being as this is a bit of a worn down hotel, a lot of the technology isn't upgraded to what you would expect in some higher end places. Like, there's still a sign-in book of all things. I mean, come on. So you know that you have some skill at picking locks. So being turned away from the company phone, you may be able to see if you could find an empty room to try and get into. You could try and intimidate her using some of your, I don't want to say harsher abilities, but some of your newly acquired skills.
Alright. She just said that she's been given a lot of shit for letting people use the phone or whatever.
Yeah, last time she let someone do that, the fucking asshole called like a long distance call, and he was on there for a few minutes, and charges were starting to rack up. And
But look, I don't mean to be rude, right? But I've just been at fucking knife point and put the knife and just slam it on the ground. I just want to return this to the kitchen. Some asshat just ran at me with this. I just want to like call the cops. My phone's gone. My wallet's gone. Look, 5 minutes tops. You could just look. You said there was a phone nearby. Could you just show me that instead? I don't think it'll look good on the company if you ignore this sort of thing.
At the sign of the knife, she kind of starts a little bit and walks back.
Yeah, he just slams it on the desk. He's not waving it at her, just like bang on the desk.
Yeah, so she is feeling a little intimidated at this point by that. It's like, you know what? I'm sorry, here. You know what? Use the phone. She's not paid enough to get into rough situations like this. So she will lift up the black phone and put it on the desk where you have access to it. It's your standard multi-purpose multi-line phone. One of the buttons is labeled line 1. And as she does that, she'll back away a little bit more and kind of warily eye the knife that is now on the table.
Would there be other people around at the moment? Was it just us two?
There is 2 other people in the room with you. They're a little bit more like in the hotel lounge area, just kind of sitting in large, oversized chairs. The backs of those chairs are towards the 2 of you, so there's no line of sight. They are at a coffee table, just talking amongst themselves.
So it's not immediately obvious that there's 2 people having this heated discussion at the reception desk.
No, this would not be out of the ordinary, to be honest, for this kind of place.
Alright. Well, I was hoping that as she moved the phone towards me, that I would use that as an opportunity to pull across and do all the old feeding.
Chomp.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Let's do... I mean, you know what? It would be pretty easy to say that you would be able to get a hold of her. I don't know. I would like to make a roll out of this, but I don't know if I really see a purpose behind it.
Alright.
I mean, if you want to do a quick... I don't know. I might need help from chat on this one. Like, say, a brawl and dexterity or something. And then at that point, you get a hold of her. Would her will, like, slip away at that point? And once she's bitten, basically kind of give in to this? And then be like, well, what the hell? Afterwards? I don't know if that would play out properly enough. As I said before, this is my first time being a storyteller for Vampire the Masquerade. And this is why we're here. Yeah, you know, well, let's do a strength plus brawl. Just to be able to grab her.
Sure.
So...
And the difficulty?
2.
A success.
Cool. With an additional margin of 2. So yeah, you're able to grab her quickly as she puts the phone down. You're able to snatch your wrist or your hand out and grab her wrist and kind of... I don't know, how do you want to do this?
Whatever was easiest convenient. Like, I didn't really see much of... I'd imagine the closest thing would be her wrist as she's putting the phone down. I would grab it and pull that close. Or
Sure.
I'd imagine that would be the most sensible thing in this circumstance.
Yeah, I think so. I would agree. And, yeah, so from chat, Helta's saying that this is a contest between your strength brawl versus the strength and brawl of the victim. But I would say at this point, you had 4 successes on this out of 6 dice. So there's no way that she'd be able to get away quick enough. She doesn't have room behind her to be able to back up too far, and she really wasn't expecting it too much. She was more focused on the knife itself, so it wouldn't see you kind of reaching in. So yeah, you would reach in, grab her wrist, go in for a little nibble, and how do the people that are fed upon react afterwards? That part I'm a little hazy on. And I'm just going to wait for chat to move on from that one. So then, while I'm waiting for them to respond, let's move on to Jay. How does Jay want to slate her thirst?
Is there a group of gentlemen, anywhere like 3+?
Yeah. Yeah, in the sports bar. There is one table there that would have had 4 men sitting at watching highlights of some of the games that went on from the previous night. Like at this point now, we're pushing 1 o'clock in the morning. Some of them are well into their drink, and they're getting loud and boisterous.
Okay, cool. In Jay's inventory, she has a deck of playing cards, so she's going to pull it out and approach the table, kind of waving it. She's going to go, "Evening, gentlemen. Anyone up for a game of poker?"
They see you approach, and you offer the cards out and ask them for a game, and they kind of look around. It's like, who is this woman? And kind of the ones who are a little bit more inebriated, it's like, you know what? Yeah, let's play a game.
Cool. So I sit down and get my stuff ready, and as she's dealing, she'll probably go, how would she do this? How many of them are significantly inebriated?
There are, we'll say 2 of them are pretty drunk. They're slurring their words. One of them has a little bit more composure to himself, and the other one is dead sober. He is the designated driver.
Sure. So she'll probably say something along the lines of, I'm willing to bet money, but that can get a little boring after a while, so how about I throw some drinks in and maybe some other favors if things go well enough.
Yeah, you see some of the guys perk up at the sound of like free drinks if they win, and then one of the other ones, the one that is not sober but not drunk, he catches on to your words of other favors and kind of looks at you and a little side eye, a little nod, and however that happens nowadays. I don't know. I met my wife on Plenty of Fish, so I'm not sure how this social interaction goes.
Okay.
We are one of the success stories.
That's cute.
So yeah, they're in for playing a few rounds of the game. They got nothing else to do, so why not?
What would I make a roll for this?
Yeah.
I imagine I would.
Yeah. So what is your intention with this? You want to play a few rounds and then see if the winner wants to go out back for a little...
Basically. And I don't even think I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to let it happen.
That's so nice of you. Yeah, so...
She might be being a little obvious if she's bluffing, but now I don't think she has a choice.
Yeah, do you want to lose the game or do you want to win it?
Yeah, I'm not trying to win.
Okay, so kind of like blowing it on purpose?
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't want it to seem like I am.
Alright, so let's do manipulation. And what are you good at? You're good with guns.
Really?
Yeah.
I am, yeah.
What games have you been playing?
Yeah.
First person shooters.
Those skills do not translate.
That is actually what it says on the character sheet. It's like, fucking... Oh, I saw it. All right, there. Years of playing the most action-packed first-person shooters
Oh my
online
God.
have trained you for this.
That's not how that works at all.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, so you are trying to manipulate the situation to get what you want, and you are going to... I wish I had the full skill sheet here, because I'm sure there's something that works a little bit better, but persuasion would come to mind on this one, which would give you only 3 dice. With 3 hunger at this point.
Thanks. How much willpower do I... I'm going to spend a willpower to buff that. Can you still do that and be fine?
Yes.
I don't think you... Oh, you can.
Yeah, blood surge. You may add 1 die to any action or discipline roll. Make a rouse check. So you're using this, but you might increase your hunger to 4.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay, so roll for... roll your rouse first.
Okay. That's just 1, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay.
And you succeeded, I think. Because you're...
Oh, yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah, because how does that work? On a standard D10, it's 7 and up is a success, right? I think?
6 and up.
6 and up? Yeah,
6 and
so
up.
rolling a 7, that is a success. So you do not increase your hunger, which I think is good at this point. So you have your 1 extra dice to use, and we said that persuasion and manipulation would be a little more ideal for this one.
Yes.
Or charisma and persuasion could work if you are trying to like distract them from the fact that you may be trying to blow this a little bit.
Do that one.
Okay, so yeah, we'll go with your charisma and persuasion, plus your 1 die will give you 5, which you need. This one is just difficulty 2.
Okay.
And you get 3 successes. Okay, so yeah, you spend some time playing the game while the other 2 are off doing their thing. You see Sam leave with some younger guy out the door. You kind of make eye contact with him briefly as he leaves. And,
Wink at him.
and you, you are able to... Well, explain how this is going to work out.
So whoever happens to win, she'd kind of she'd go, how about we go up to the bar and you can pick what you want, both there and back at my room.
Well, I don't know. I'm supposed to be the one driving tonight. I don't know if I can, or if I should even drink.
We can skip the drink then.
Do his friends hear this?
Sure.
Yeah, so you start to hear sounds of approval. It's like, ooh, from them. I'm old. I don't know how this goes.
What are they in middle school?
They're like 18 years old. They just graduated high school.
Someone's lucky night.
No, I guess if this is in the States, they'd be 21, because being able to legally in a bar. It's only 18 here in most of Canada, so... yeah, so they're like 21, 22 years old. They are just starting to mature a little bit. Yeah, so he's like, yeah, okay, why not? They get to have fun, why can't I?
Exactly.
Right? So yeah, so you go up to the room and whatever, and...
Cool.
I'm not awkward about this.
It's okay, I'm not asking for detail.
Yeah, so after a little while, you come back down, you're leading him down. He's kind of, I don't know, kind of a little woozy. Then he gets back down, and do you leave him there and let him go back to the table on his own, or do you bring him back safely?
Did I feed from him?
Yes.
Yeah, I bring him back to his friends.
Yeah, so they give him a bit of a ribbing and whatnot, and he's kind of out of it a little bit and doesn't really say too much.
How much hunger did I slake from that?
1. So you'd be down to 2 at this point.
I go, if anybody else wants a turn.
How do the rules handle that? We'll just keep it at the 1 for now.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't go into too much on this one. Question from the chat: how do you mass seduce in V5? You be a Toreador.
Only Tories are capable of getting fucked.
Okay, so yeah, all 3 of you have fed at this point.
In very different ways.
Yeah, I think it kind of covers off the different aspects that you can go with feeding.
Subtle, really subtle, and not so subtle.
Alright, so, where are we now? We are... Where'd that go? Where's that? Alright, so yeah, yeah, I think so. I don't see why it would not have been an issue, that...
Oops.
I'm back. I don't see why that would not have been an issue. Yeah, you could feed from as many as you wanted to at that one go, but the lowest you could ever get is to 1. Unless you kill someone, then you can get it down to 0, and then that presents its own problems. I mean, if you really wanted to, we could go ahead and say that that was the case.
Cool, just to get down to 1, because then I'd still be at 2.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get you down 1 with that.
Dope.
And then we will get everyone else back together. So are you going to meet in front of the hotel now at this point? What,
Yeah, I'd probably go out and find him.
Yeah, so when you are done at the bar, you'd head outside, and I'm assuming you'd find Sam out there already from his quick bite to eat, and then Rain coming out of the lobby at that point, or they may have been there a little bit longer.
Probably. He might have wandered around, and you probably would have found them by chance. I don't think, knowing how new he is to this, he wouldn't have been able to pick up the nuances of what happens to the gentlemen who were playing poker or whatever to know what happened. I think he would just stumble upon them by chance.
Sure. So at this point now, you are starting to feel a bit of a lethargy start to overtake your limbs. Like, it's starting to get a little bit harder to move. Like, you've been up for way too long. Do any of you have a watch on?
Referring to our equipment, or is that just a general?
Well, it'd pretty much be a yes or no whether you feel your character would have it. Worst case, Sam has the phone, which would have the time on it. Yeah. Yeah, so you're looking at the phone, and it's starting to read around 3 o'clock in the morning. Being that this is close to midsummer, the nights are short. Unless you're here. Or yeah, sorry, especially if you're here when we have like 4 hours of night a day. Yeah, so you're starting to be conscious of the time and the warning that you were given before about being out in the daylight. So starting to find a place to bed down for the night is a little bit more of a priority. So as you are looking at the phone, it starts to ring.
Yeah. Spooky. Like that one movie. Sam answers it.
Okay, so without any kind of greeting or anything else, there's this woman on the other end that she just starts talking. Sorry, you three are still okay?
Yep, still here.
Okay, good. Nothing else went down?
Nope.
Alright, good. I was told that I need to kind of get you settled in. Whereabouts are you?
Is this the same voice from before? Or the same, is this Charlotte or a different voice?
It'd be a different voice.
Oh, okay.
This one's a little bit more peppy and energetic.
Oh, good. Sam describes the motel that they're at.
Oh yeah, I know that place. It's a fucking piece of shit. Anyway, I'll be right there.
We'll be here.
Alright, so a few minutes pass. During that time, would you three want to do anything in particular?
No, but sort of in and out of character question, was Sam the only body who heard that conversation happen?
You would have heard his side.
And he would have relayed it, especially if he like reconvened in the front or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Just wanted to check, because it might have had a loudspeaker that you might have put it on.
Right. First thing is like, just so you know, you're on speaker. All right, go.
We don't know until you're asked.
Sam will just like linger around in the lobby.
Yeah, I think Rain would do the same, but trying to avoid contact with the receptionist.
Alright, so a few minutes pass, and you're waiting in the lobby and whatnot, and then you see this black limousine pull up to the front of the building.
Oh shit.
And you see this woman get out of the vehicle and kind of like lean against the hood of the car. She's wearing clothing that you would not expect someone driving a limousine to wear, like not ratty or ragged clothing, just purposefully distressed, like jeans with holes all over the place, a denim vest with the sleeves ripped off and the seams all fraying and whatnot, and we'll say she has one of those I don't know what they're called, but the hats that kind of clip down, almost like a I'm trying to describe that, but she's wearing a hat. It's a gray hat. So she doesn't make any motions or anything to leave the vehicle. She just kind of stands there for a minute. Are you going to go out assuming that it's her, or are you going to wait?
Rain would wait for some sort of indication.
Can I hit the redial button on the phone?
Yep.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, so you hit the redial button, and it rings twice, and you see the woman that is standing beside the limo put her hand to her ear. It's like, are you coming out or what?
Alright, seems legit. And then Sam goes.
Cool. And Rain will follow.
Nothing more legit than sass. Alright, so yeah, you get out. She's there. She heads to the back door to open it for you. And she kind of greets you as you get closer. She kind of greets you as you get closer and say, "Hey, what's up? I'm Jackie."
Sam
Rain
gets in.
Jay.
Nice to meet you. So she'll get you into the vehicle, close the door, get into the front seat, and when she gets in, the partition separating the front and the back is up, and you start to hear and see it drop down, and she'll kind of look at the three of you in the rear view mirror. Alright, so I have been told that I need to get you two, or you three, holed up for the night. Have you had a chance to eat at all? We're not going to have any issues or problems.
I had a little snack.
No,
I had two.
Ooh.
you're way too eager for this.
They were alive.
Yeah, that hadn't even crossed my mind, but good. You're learning.
Right, so yeah, so you know what, I'm going to take you to a place that we have set up. It's called the Red Star. It is what's called a local hangout for those who are of your predicament.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that you need to sleep during the day, and I do not.
Wait, what?
Why?
I'm not a vampire. Just work for them.
I thought we weren't supposed to tell anyone.
Well, first, I believe the correct term now is kindred. And second... yeah, what Jay said.
No, you see, it's true. Like, you shouldn't be talking about this to anyone. But she didn't tell you everything, did she?
Fucking didn't.
We were in a
Sam's
hurry.
it's like, right, and we'll just sort of say that under his breath.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so there is a... oh, I don't want to say a small group of us, but there are people who work for the kindred. And she'll stress that pretty harshly. Work for kindred. Just dragging it out. We have a working arrangement with them. We give them services that we are able to take care of during the day, like protection and running errands and whatnot, and they give us a little bit of their blood. And I know it's kind of weird at first, but we get the benefits. So it's win-win in the end. So like right now, I am going to be showing you three to a place where you can go to sleep for the night, and then once that occurs, then I'm going to stick around for an hour or two after sunrise to make sure that nothing goes down. And I gotta get her fucking dry cleaning, so there's that too.
Sounds smart. This little setup. Fucked up, but pretty smart.
Well, I mean, they've been doing this for thousands of years. So they've got this down pretty decent.
So if we're kindred, what does that make you?
One of the terms that has been used for us has been ghoul.
Ghoul.
Bit of a ghoulish term, I know, but...
I was just thinking it. I wasn't going to say it.
Isn't there a nicer word for it?
No.
Butler.
The help.
Chauffeur. And Rain will sort of say that to him, chauffeur is a dirty word. He doesn't like using big fancy words.
Oh, look at me. I may be driving a limo, but do I look like a chauffeur to you?
That's what you're doing now.
Well, I'm just driving your asses around. If you want to get out and walk, you can go right ahead. But I'm not chauffeuring you anywhere.
We don't know where we're going.
So yeah, she will give a little bit more information as to how this place is set up, that whenever you need to sleep, you want to make sure that all the windows are like completely blacked out, that there's no access to light at that point. Because, light is bad. You don't really care if, having a comfortable place to sleep doesn't really matter too much for you. She has seen her employer sleep on like concrete more than once, and she woke up fine every single time. So don't worry if there's not a bed. You don't need to have those luxuries.
It's fine. I've slept rough on the street. Home, sweet home.
Yeah. So
I like being comfortable.
Oh, and you know what? There's this one thing. It's fucking creepy, is what it is. But it's really kind of cool. So, what was Jay's description of her hair?
It's like a super shitty, short, choppy, like do-it-yourself home job.
I did not expect that at all.
COVID stylings.
She gels it so that it doesn't look as disastrous, but right now she probably doesn't have anything in it, so it's just kind of all over, like her forehead and the sides of her face, and doesn't really go any lower than her ears.
Alright, so your hair, as fabulous as it is, you're stuck with that for life. You try shaving that shit off tonight, it'll be back just like that tomorrow. It's fucking
What?
creepy is what it is.
What?
Yeah.
Awesome!
I am not sure if I've ever heard that called awesome, but you know what? You do you. So yeah, this conversation goes back and forth for a little while, and she's driving along, and you feel the car going around corners and hitting potholes and bumps like you were before in the other vehicle. And then, it's just a regular banter at this point. She's having a good time talking with the three of you. She'll even say as that, it's like, you know what? I haven't had a chance to talk with some younger ones in quite a while. The older vampires, they get fucking stuffy. Like, they are awful sometimes. They have a hard time adapting. I tell you, there's this one guy, he's kind of new to this whole... Well, new to our team at least. I don't want to go into that, but he's trying to pass off like he belongs, and oh god, it's... No. He's like this... He comes off as this old guy trying to act hip. It's just, no. So
My boss.
to actually have some, I don't know, people closer to my relative age now at this point, it's been kind of nice. I appreciate this. So, like, random banter back and forth. And then you see her looking back to you, and she looks out the side of the window and then looks back to you. It's like, ah, shit. I was warned about these ones. And then she'll explain that there's a white van that's following you again. It's like, fuck, we gotta do something about this.
I thought Charlotte handled that.
Well, I guess not. You know, she can do a lot of things, but she's not perfect.
No shit.
Just don't let her hear that. Forget I said anything. Yeah, so you see the white van start to get closer if you look back. It's heavily tinted, but you can see the whiteness of the van, almost like a blip, get closer as the limo is driving down. Being that it's a limo, it's less agile than some of the other, less agile than the other vehicle that you were in earlier on tonight.
We're not going to lose them.
Doesn't look like it. And fuck,
I don't think it.
the sun is
don't
starting to
think
get close.
You know who they are?
I'm assuming they are the Second Inquisition. Oh yeah, at least that's what Charlotte was saying earlier on that they were, so...
Well, shit. What's the plan? We're fucked, aren't we?
Pull
I've got a
into an
gun.
alley. You've got a what?
What was that?
You've got
got
a
a
what?
gun.
A gun?
Uh-huh.
Since when?
I got it. She lifts up, like, the corner of her t-shirt, and it's been kind of loose, so you haven't seen it, but she's got a gun belt, and she's got it tucked into that in the waist of her jeans.
What the hell? No, perfect. That's good. That's good. Unexpected, but good. Pull into an alley. We'll ambush them.
At the mention of the gun, the driver, Jackie, says, look under your seats. Underneath one of the seats, you'll find a gun case.
Oh, good. Sam will fish around for that.
Yeah, it's not locked or anything. You'll be able to pull it out. You open up, there's a few guns in there with some magazines that look to be fully loaded.
He'll pluck one up and he'll clear the chamber, do the whole, like, oh, I know what guns are kind of thing, to betray the fact that he knows how to use weapons.
Rain would inspect his person for the knife that he forgot that he left at the hotel, and remembering that the pistol that he has conveniently placed in the back pocket that he's just forgotten about all this time because he's just been angry the whole night.
Yeah, just remember, you have two pockets, one for your knife, one for the gun.
You had a gun
Yes.
too?
Yeah. Lucille. I'm sorry, baby. I forgot you, and you just sort of take the safety cap off. It's been one hell of a night.
Damn, all I've got is this loose change.
Yeah, meanwhile, the only one that didn't naturally have a gun was the soldier.
Yeah.
The one that would actually have justification to have a weapon.
Your
Right.
irony.
So how is everybody doing for time? Does anybody need to run? We're at the 3-hour mark at this point.
I've got to go in about half an hour.
Yeah, about half an hour.
Drain.
Roughly same.
Okay, so, yeah, as Helton says, it's the U.S. They all have guns. Now, that's making broad sweeping strokes of the Americans as a whole, and they're not all like that, and I don't want to get the... I don't want people to have the impression that that's what I think of it, and...
That's fine.
Okay, so... Yeah, so at this point, the white van starts to get closer. And you are looking back at them, and... Oh, sorry, you're looking... Oops, I did something. 1 second. Discord, where'd you go? Here we go. Alright.
How tinted are their windows?
In the limo? Or in the white van?
In the white van.
I don't know, like say 20-30% tint, I guess.
Okay. Is there a moonroof in here?
Yes.
What was our driver's name again? Jackie?
Jackie.
Jackie, can we open the moonroof?
Why, certainly. And then she'll flick a switch and you'll see the moonroof open up, as well as the 2 side windows roll down. It's like, you know what, if you 3 could take care of this for us, that would be fantastic. I need to focus on getting you 2 to a safe, or you 3 to a safe space.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna stand up to the moonroof and take a shot at the driver.
This is what Sam does, so she does this. No, wait, no, stop. Oh, God.
And she's gone. Alright, so...
And I guess as that happens, Rain will unwind the window. Like, you can't beat him, join him. He will unwind the window and just lean out and try and pop a few caps at the wheel.
Okay, so I'm going to get whoever is going to shoot at the white van to roll their attack action.
Yeah, and Sam will join in, sitting on the other side. He'll actually open the door and like use lean on the door and like lean out fully, and spray down the windshield.
Cool. Right, so...
So what's the...
That's not great.
Yeah,
Is
so...
there a difficulty roll?
The way that this is reading sounds like 5.
Successes.
Which, I mean...
What's
Look... Sorry, go ahead.
So what's the role that we're actually doing? It's what, with firearms?
Yeah, that should be on the sheet, I think, already rolled up. Yeah, so Rain has...
Attack 6 dice.
Yeah.
So, oh, right, I see. Okay. That would be the pool. And I'm down at 2 hunger, wasn't I? Because I was at 3 fed and then went down to 2.
Correct.
Nice. Oh, I got a bestial failure.
But I think you have a success, so that doesn't count, if I'm right.
I'm looking at the little chart that says result 2 successes versus diff 5, margin 3 mission success, and then it has in a squared bracket bestial failure.
B5 is so complicated.
In this aspect it is. Alright, let's jump to the reference guide. Let's see what we got in here.
See, that's what I thought. Chat said it's only a bestial failure if there are no successes in the roll.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, so in this case, that doesn't count, and you have...
I thought so too. I'm just reading what it actually says in the squared bracket. It says
Right.
it's the bestial failure.
Yeah. Let's see if I can pull something up here. Tests.
I suppose I could always re-roll with willpower, just remember I can do that.
Yeah, in the appendix it says when a test is unsuccessful and at least one bestial failure appears on the dice, the failure is epic and carries tragic consequences.
Yeah, but then since you have 2 successes, this is still considered a successful roll. With... I think? Or is that because... I don't know. I'm
It's a failed
confused.
test, isn't it? The test is unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 3 fails, and then the hunger dice is the skull, the daggers, which is a fail on the hunger dice.
So now you could re-roll that using your willpower.
Yes, I think I will most certainly do that. Which one of these do I click? You mentioned one of the reactions was a...
I believe it's a small dot.
Okay, apparently that still is a bestial failure.
Oh yeah, because that came up on one of your...
Oh, one of the
blood
hunger dice.
It's a hunger dice, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it comes up, and I don't think you can reroll those.
No.
Right.
So yeah, even with that, I got the bestial failure. Well, it was nice knowing you guys.
He just jumps out of the car.
Can't contain his hungry anymore.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to chat for a second here. So on the starter set, I'm going to read this part out so we can get this worked out, because I don't know, I'm kind of confused by this. Alright, so the way that this is worded, ask each player to roll their attack action, which in this case for our character sheets, we have all of it rolled up into one. If anyone scores 5 or more successes, their shot hits the pursuing van. Describe exciting effects such as blowing away a mirror, smashing the windshield, etc., etc. Once everyone has had a chance at a shot or two, the van will have taken enough damage that it slows down and they lose it. So, like, Health is saying that the difficulty 5 is something incredibly hard, which I don't disagree with, like, especially when you only have like 6 dice to do it with. But it seems that in the case of this, that would be kind of high for what we're trying to accomplish. So let's say that first round kind of goes wild while you get used to firing a gun from the back of a limo, essentially. Because now at this point, when the driver sees that you are all leaning out trying to take shots at him, he starts to drift back and forth across the lanes to make himself a harder target. So going into the next round, we'll say that on a 3 successes would be your difficulty in this case.
Same roll but with difficulty 3.
Yes.
Cool. That one was a success.
Cool.
I imagine
Same for
on
Sam.
that previous shot, I just like screamed and shouted as I missed, nearly throwing the gun at the van.
Wait, you need that?
Well, I don't. I'm just like very near. It's like, yeah, fuck.
Is Jay going to shoot?
Oh, yeah, I did. I rolled for it.
The first time or the second time? Scroll in.
The
Take
one
another,
at 521.
yeah, take another shot.
Okay.
All right, yeah. So the other two start hitting the vehicle. One of which you see creates sparks off of the edge or the front corner of the quarter panel. Another one goes through the passenger side mirror. You see glittering glass fall down from the mirror and bounce off the ground as the van leaves it behind. So let's go with one more round of shooting from the 3 of you.
Same difficulty.
Same diff, yeah, 3.
Ooh, failure.
Okay, I got a success.
Yeah, so this time, this volley of shots from all of you ends up punching through the windshield. It goes through the center. It does not hit the driver, but the windshield itself spiderwebs across, so he loses any visibility that he would have easily had through the windshield, which then you start to see him slowing down as it forces him to stop and reevaluate his life choices. Yeah, so now the van is starting to slow down. He can't see that well. It's too hard for him to be able to keep up. And Jackie is able to get you pulled out in front and making the heroic escape. shooting at an unarmed van. You should be ashamed of yourself. Alright, so after a few minutes, the van is completely gone from behind you. You're all back in your seats. She makes some comments along the lines of, well, thankfully you're here to help get rid of them. That was kind of scary. I've ran into these people once, and you know what? I don't want to ever do it again.
Thanks for the ride.
Oh, hey, no problem. I'm hoping that I can have a chance to talk with you three again. And as she's saying this, you start to pull up to this building, and you start to see the sunlight brighten the horizon off to the east. Yes. Yeah, the sun rises in the east. So, and then at that point, that's where we're going to leave it for today.
Hey, everyone.
Being a vampire seems easy.
Yeah. Popping holes in vans.
No one even shoots back.
Nah.
Not yet.
Idiots. Don't encourage them.
Oh, just wait till round 2.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so for those of you who may have joined in halfway, that is us going through the first half-ish of the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition starter set. You can find the starter set on, I'm sure, Modifius or DriveThruRPG. It is worthwhile picking up and a nice and easy way to get new players into the system and the game. There are some areas that it is worded kind of weird on how to progress, but all in all, it's so far so good. As a new player to 5th edition, something like this kind of comes in handy for me to help walk through the game itself, because trying to sit down and read through that book is a daunting task sometimes. It's not easy. There's a lot of information you gotta filter through. So let's go around our table counterclockwise this time and get your impressions of what we've gone through so far, starting with lore.
I'll be honest, when I was starting this, I was a bit apprehensive because in the past, I've had some negative thoughts regarding pre-made character sheets and things like this, but I actually really enjoyed this. The role-playing was great, the story was interesting and engaging, the characters great. It's nice that there was some, backstory between the guard and one of the other players. Yeah, I think it was really cool. It's really fun to play. I think the most difficulty we had was trying to get the dice app to work, or at least understanding what it meant.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, hitting that van.
Yeah, well, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Good. I am glad. Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, so that was a lot of fun. I liked that a lot. I usually same boat. I don't like pre-gens, but the way that it's set up, it's more like here's a bunch of crumbs attached to some stats. You fill in the rest of the blank. So it's very easy to make the character your own.
Yep.
That was really fun. So far, the system seems interesting and okay. Not too different from what I remember when I was younger. I tend not to like pictographic dice. I prefer numbers, but it works. It does the job.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I mean, I got a whole shit ton of D10s sitting around. Why do I need more?
You're right.
Well, that being said, we always need more dice because we all have problems.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. And you can always use the standard D10s for this.
Yeah.
The book says what each number is instead of. So.
Yeah. And then Feather.
This was great. I'm so happy to be a player in VTM again. It's probably been about 4 or 5 years since I've been a player. I've been storytelling with VTM for a while now, a couple of years, I guess. But I similarly have never ever used a pre-gen character because I've always been like, well, they're boring and they're milquetoast and what personality can you put in them? But I had a lot of fun with this, and I'm very excited to build Jay. The story is engaging and fun, and I'm excited to see what happens in the next game.
Me too. So one thing I forgot to mention at the start of our game is typically, well, I don't know, sorry, not typically, but we have a fourth member to our group, to our player group. That is Evie. Unfortunately, she could not make it here with us today, but I am hoping to be able to get her on our game next week. And then we can get her rolled in. I've got some ideas on how we can do that quickly and easily. So yeah, like I was saying before, this is my first time storytelling Vampire the Masquerade, and it's fun. There are certain... Sorry, I get fidgety after the 3-hour mark. There are certain aspects of the game which I have glossed over a little bit because I'm a prude and I don't know how to handle some of that. But with practice, I could probably get into it, like the feeding aspects. Like, well, how in depth do we really want to go? I mean, like, I think it was Stormy Weather mentioned in our chat that there is the fade to black option. Whether we go and do that during feeding, or if you're looking at going for a bit of a sexual tone to certain scenes, we can always do the fade to black. Like I was saying before, when everyone has one of three opinions when it comes to vampires, like either what's that, or really, or that is fucking awesome. But a lot of times vampire gets grouped in with some weird, like, erotic RP type game. And while that is great for some tables and some players who want to play it like that, it's also a game that is available and accessible to everybody else. Like any other game, the way you want to play it depends on the way that you want to play it. If you don't want to get dug into the sexual aspect of how a siren feeds, you don't have to. You just gloss over that and move it through. You can focus on a little bit more of the personal horror aspect of the game, or the political horror of the game, depending on how you want your game to work out. And you know, 0 sessions really help with that when it comes to drawing lines in the sand as to where you want to go and where you don't want to go in a game where you play monsters.
Very important.
Just because we play monsters doesn't mean we're monsters or we have to act like it. So, and then, like anything else, consent is key. If you're going to get into an area where it's like, you know what, I don't know how comfortable I am with this, I'm not sure how comfortable my players are with this, take a second to step aside. It's like, hey, you know what, this is how I want to approach this. How does everybody feel about that? Like, if we want to touch on a little bit more of the gruesome aspect of the vampiric existence, do we want to really get into details? You know, coming across a body that looks like it's literally had its throat ripped out with blood pooling all over the place. Do we want to approach that aspect? Yeah, so like Helt in chat says, the game is a framework. Build it to whatever suits your table.
Totally.
So, that's my soapbox.
Yeah, as you said, it's just what makes everybody happy, and you're not always going to know the things that everybody's been through in life, and a decent person wouldn't want to put those horrors back in them and have them control them, as it were, or not be in control of them. It's just, and it takes, whereas you did, they're like, not even 10 seconds just to ask those questions, like, what's everybody comfortable with, what aren't you comfortable with? I mean, it's not a huge hardship, and I get really wound up that people have a problem with this. Like, oh, it's these millennial snowflakes ruining our games. I'm just, piss off. Like,
Yeah.
we just want everyone to be happy. Like,
Yep.
And as you said, we play a game where we pretend to be monsters. It does not mean that we have to be monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is a difference there, even though it's the same word.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so, yeah, so the game itself so far has been fun. I don't think we'll have to go the full 3 hours next time. There are, I think, 3 scenes left to this, but if we finish early, we can always go and do a little bit more story added onto it, just kind of roll with it. Yeah, so one thing I also did not mention at the start was if you like what you see today, or what you have seen, or what you will see in the future when you watch this on the video on demand or on YouTube, throw us a like, follow the channel, subscribe to the YouTube. Anything that you do to that extent helps me out with the channel immensely. Like, I am here to run games for people who don't always get a chance to run games, like the Forever DM and the Forever Storyteller. I love having those people on the game because it gives them a chance to be able to play again without always having to be front and center. It is not easy work to be a GM or storyteller or DM. I find that after a game it takes a lot out of me, so having people who do that like game after game after game, it is nice to be able to give back to them. And along the same lines, if you really want to help me out on the channel, and if you have a spare Amazon Prime Twitch subscription kicking around, subscribe to my channel. That helps me out with offsetting the tech costs for being able to do something like this. Yeah, I am, depending on how round 2 goes, I am possibly looking at doing something a little bit more different for Vampire in the way of a guided audio drama of sorts. I've got some plans on how to make that work, so that would be kind of neat to be able to try and follow through with that on a little bit more of the storytelling aspect while still using dice to guide it. So I don't have all the plots worked out yet on how exactly that'll work, but that is something that I'm looking forward to potentially attempting. Because I understand it's kind of hard to be able to sit down for 3 hours, and I'm making it even longer by rambling now, to be able to watch and listen to a game. So having a little 10-15 minute vignette on some character interactions could be kind of neat. So keep your eyes open. So let's go around the table one more time and give a shout out to whatever you got on the go. If you have anything on the go. If not, yeah. So we'll start with Laura, because I know that he's got stuff on the go.
Yes, indeed. As mentioned at the beginning, I am excuse me. I am the Law by Night podcast guy, where I discuss all things vampiric with no fear of reaching the masquerade. In short, I do a podcast about Vampire the Masquerade lore, some bits on the characters, the clans, the sects, and the video game reviews, and various bits in between. So if you're new to this and you've been somewhat intrigued by these different clans, you can go and listen to the Law by Night podcast on anywhere you would listen to podcasts, so YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. Just type Law by Night podcast into Google and you'll find somewhere that you enjoy it. For updates on things that I'm doing, you can find me at Law by Night VTM on Twitter, that's all one word, or on Instagram, which is the same but there are underscores in between, so law_by_night_VTM. And of course you can join the wonderful Law by Night Discord server, and I'm told it's a nice place. There are lots of wonderful people there, all sorts of things going on. We share general World of Darkness news, various Let's Plays and actual plays that happen, memes, lots of Vampire Masquerade memes. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
They're awesome.
They are brilliant. And if you're just, as I said, there are lots of various different things. I won't spoil it all for you. Just go and find it. You'll find links to that on the social media bios.
And in the chat that just popped up, and I will add it onto the show notes afterwards. And yeah, so thank you for coming and playing the game. It was a delight to have you for this series. And then now, Ryan.
No, I don't really do anything. So thanks for having me.
Chilling like a villain.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you was it about 2-3 weeks ago? You just had a podcast that finished season 1.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Carrion Company.
Yeah, I forgot that even existed, to be honest. We finished that so long ago.
Oh, I know, yeah. So, Ryan and I were playing together on some streams last year, and then he was doing audio, sorry, not audio drama, but like a podcast for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay with Mud and Blood. And I do one with the same group of people, but playing Cult, so another kind of horror type game. Vampire and Cult have a lot of similarities between the two. And yeah, like Ryan was saying, we're actually recording our final episode on the 5th of July. We had a big break in between, so kind of know how that feels. Like, okay, so now where were we? It's been 3 months. So having that break between the podcast finishing and when the final episode actually airs is quite the gap. It's like, oh, right, we did this.
Yeah, like we finished Carrion Company before I moved back from Japan.
Yeah.
That was 6 months ago.
Yep. Yeah, that was a long campaign. Alright, so and then last but not least, Feather.
Yeah, so as I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I am a DM / storyteller for a group. We're known as the Polyhedral Playhouse. I know that a couple of you guys are watching now, so thanks for like coming and watching and supporting both Foxfyre Studios and me as your DM being a player. You guys can find me at dfeatherknoxcross on or dfknoxcross, I think, on Twitter. It's a new account, so I don't have much on there yet, but I'm running it for my voice acting career and my DMing when we stream that, and then for my miniature painting, which I do as well. So
Nice.
thanks for having me on again.
Awesome. No, thank you for coming. And yeah, so I am Foxfyre22 on the internet. That's FOXFYRE22, also known as Charlotte. You can find me here with, next week, hopefully with the same 3 people, plus our 4th, if she can make it. Next Saturday at 12 p.m. PST, which is GMT -7, which is 8 hours difference for those who are in British summertime, I think it's called, which is GMT +1. It's fucking confusing. I hate time zones.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so 12 p.m. PST next Saturday. You can find us here for the stunning conclusion of our Vampire the Masquerade starter set series. Yeah, if you have any questions for any of the players or myself as the next week goes on, hit us up at the Discord, hit us up on Twitter. YouTube will be seeing this video in about 2 days, so I'll be posting that everywhere. Drop us comments. Even if you want to just say, you know what, you 4 did a fantastic fucking job, and you sold us on the starter set, let us know, because, you know what, feedback is awesome and it's important. That being said, if there was anything that I did that kind of broke the rules a little bit, let me know so I can learn as the GM, as the one who doles out the rule-based justice. Alright, so that being said, I am going to stop talking and let everyone carry on with their day. So thank you all for stopping by, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Bye, y'all.
Doodles.
See ya.